572. Okay, Pineapple Podcast. I got Bill Miller.
That's not my name. Not Bill Miller. That's not. We're not establishing that. I don't want anyone calling me fucking Bill.
How about Billy? Is that a little better?
No, it's worse.
Little Billy.
No,
we've got Janie and Lucy, and your host, Austin Hughes, right here. And we're here for another night of So you were talking about your friend's IUD. That's where we said we were going to start.
Yeah.
So let's just pick up with that story.
So here's what happened, right? You have an IUD. It stops your period for like 3 years. Most of them, you can do 1, 2, or 3 years.
Now, what's an IUD? Is that an IED?
No.
Is that similar to Al Qaeda's aggressive
but I hear
guerrilla
that
tactics?
all the time.
Does it blow up after 3 years?
You wish.
Please break us down, Lucy. How this
Have you
kills
seen those
people.
commercials like I armor up? It's like an implant in your arm.
There you go.
And then it
And it
explodes.
releases hormones.
That's funny. That's a commercial
Wait,
thing waiting to
wait,
happen.
hold
It
on.
releases hormones that stop. No, it's not. It doesn't.
That's
stop.
stop men.
No, it
It's
stops.
just like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
It does.
Like
it
your arm
stops.
just turns into a weapon. Like,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has its mind of its own. It's just,
No,
don't come
it's
at me.
not like when Morty had the giant arms.
Exactly what I was thinking of.
that's exactly what
So that's an IUD. Got it. Morty with a giant arm.
Yeah. So basically, it gives you all these cool superpowers where you don't have to have a period for 3 years and you're not an emotional wreck like most women are on their period.
Ooh, controversial.
So my friend,
level playing field.
my
really.
friend,
Hot.
yeah, right.
Hot heat being spat by Lucy about women, right? Who would have thought the most misogynist one here would be her?
Yeah, I would like to let you know
From
before
personal
we...
experience.
No, I know. I'd just like to let you know before we move on, we will have to address that statement because this is, whenever me and Will are on the podcast, this is a podcast about feminism.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So we're going to have to address comments like that just for the viewership, which is our 2 subscribers, which I'd like to let everybody know before we get started, that we are actually doing a raffle where we are going to select 2 random subscribers out of our 2 subscribers. And it seems like the winners of that was Shane Napper, and
I think it's Austin.
Justin Garant. And they will be fighting each other on the podcast next week. And those are 2 winners. Yes, Will.
Well, sorry, this is your producer. I'm coming
yes,
into
go
your
ahead.
ear right now. You actually pronounced that guy's last name wrong. It's Nipples. It's Shane Nipples.
Shane Nipples.
Also, I don't know how you pronounced the last guy when you were trying to introduce everybody.
Yeah.
You fucked his name
And
up, too. It wasn't
Justin Garant.
No, I think that one's good. That
That
one's
was good. That was
But
right.
the Austin Hugh, I don't know how to pronounce it, but you fucked that one up big time, dog.
I'm gonna go back and read that one.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Looks
you're
like
gonna have to,
it's
issue
saying
corrections.
bitch. Is it saying bitch?
Yeah,
Little
that's-
bitch. That's
that's
what I'm
it.
getting at.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. So let's go back to this IUD.
IUD, right? You don't have your period.
You
for
said
3 years.
IUD.
IUD.
You literally just said IUD.
So IUD.
Alright,
Sorry, go.
IUD.
Yeah, IUD. All right.
E-
IUD.
Okay. Yeah, so she got it out for the first time in 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
She goes into this ballistic, crazy fucking, like, emotional state where she buys a $2,000 plane ticket for a week later to go to Hawaii. So that's what she did, and her emotion, like, that's what happens once you get your IUD out for the first time in 3 years. You make irrational decisions. Yeah, rational is the one that's rational. Logical.
Okay,
Is that how
you
you work
see-
it out in your mind? Oh,
Something
rational.
against
I
it.
remember that one
Because it's
because
rational.
Brewing in your head there with that one.
I think everything about birth control like makes me nervous because like I take birth control pills, like regular hormone pills, but like I've read all these articles that are like basically they forced disempowered women to like test them out, and it like made them depressed, and it apparently makes a lot of women depressed now.
Really?
And, like nobody.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
to change mine like 3 different times before I got one that didn't fuck up my hormones enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I take mine like a few hours late, it like
Really?
sets me off in a wrong mood. Yes.
That's
Really?
so crazy.
Yeah.
Mine's not like
Huh.
that.
It just messes up my whole thing.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's how my first one was, but it wasn't like hours. It'd be like a day's worth.
Yeah. I don't
So, boys, what is y'all's take on the IUD?
Oh, on the IUDs.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about those. I mean, I don't
From
know.
a feminist approach.
I've never, as a man, ever had to like be like taking drugs, so fucking when dudes ultimately nutting me, like I have a backup against that, like. And also, that's something I didn't know is that it fucks with your hormones so fucking much to the point
It's
where
an
you buy a plane
estrogen
ticket.
pill.
I know. Well, I mean, I learned. It's not like I'm learning this right now. I learned it in like my psychology of sex class, or whatever, in college. But I was like, fuck, man, like that's crazy. Like they're taking these drugs that are basically not necessarily psychoactive, but fuck with your hormones so much that it will change your behavior and patterns and sleep and
changes
fucking
the way
acne and all this
yeah.
shit. Like that's fucking crazy that you have to do that. Like.
Well, and I've been taking them since I was 14, so like I don't know what I'm like when I'm not on it. Like,
Yeah, at this point, like it's been way too far through puberty and all that shit to go back to not taking them.
Yeah.
So, I just thought of this. And, you know, I'm trying to take a feminist approach to this, but I'm also trying to level with the men who listen to this podcast, like Justin Garin and Shane Nipples.
I hope at that time.
Thanks. I'm really trying. But isn't it? I don't know what this is. I'm just gonna say it. Isn't it kind of weird that women, you know, have to take this medication? Don't have to, but you know, a lot do. Is take some sort of medication or some sort of IUD or something in like the beginning part of their life, right? And then mark me where I'm wrong here. I might be wrong here, but then at like menopause, you maybe get to step away from that.
Yeah, like my mom took a lot of estrogen and stopped taking it when she went through menopause.
Okay, so you stop.
She's taking it again now because it fucks with your hormones after menopause, but it's not a birth control. It's just an estrogen supplement. So you can take low estrogen birth control, but it still has all of the other chemicals that make it so you can't get pregnant.
Like progesterone is another big hormone that like has an effect on your reproductive system and like how receptive you. It like kills sperm. It like strengthens like the walls against receiving sperm. Like it strengthens like
all of your like.
But like the mucus in your cervix, like it makes it so it's harder to get pregnant, and like in any way.
Most of them, like I don't know if you're even my period's like 3 days. I get it from Tuesday, Thursday for 1 week a month.
Are you on low estrogen?
Yeah,
me too.
So I have the exact like same period every month unless I fuck up a pill, and it's like a very light period. Whereas when I first started my period, it was 9. It was awful, and I was emotional and had the worst cramps of ever. And like
interesting. So it is kind of like a lifelong process then.
Well, like my mom, she started menopause like 2-3 years ago, and she was just getting hot flashes all the time. She's like, I'm gonna speed this shit up because apparently, like, I'm in the very beginning. It can last like 5 years to like finish going through menopause.
Like you'll start it, and it can be like up to 5 or 10 years.
So was that what you took? But so was that what you were just talking about? That your mom took? Was that the same thing as that to speed it up?
No, my mom like cauterized her ovaries. Like she was like.
What the fuck does that mean?
Okay.
I'm thinking like somebody took a welding torch.
That's pretty much what it is.
That's what happened.
Holy.
I'm butchering like the medical jargon.
Does the mainstream news media know about this? Are they just learning about this from alternative media sites like the Pineapple or a Pineapple?
This is
okay. Wait, listen to that. Right,
I'm sorry.
Please break this down. I'm just flabbergasted.
Like the procedure, my mom, she's had abortions before. She described it as like a mini abortion. Like they like cauterized her, either her uterus or her ovaries. I want to say ovaries because I feel like it was more hormone related. To like just like end her reproduction, so she doesn't get periods anymore. She's still kind of working her way through the rest of the other aspects of menopause, but it's a lot less hormonal.
Right.
It's a lot like less intensity effects of going through menopause. And she's less happier now that she does not have to have a period anymore. She's got to wait till she's like 55 to stop buying tampons.
Yeah.
Wait, she's less happier now that she did that?
Is that what I said? I did not mean that.
Oh, okay.
She's happier that she.
You said that she was happier for.
She's happier
sorry. Oh, okay, sorry. I thought I heard less.
No,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So so there's a lot of questions. My first question, though, the first one that came to mind was, you said it was like an abortion. Does that mean
she said the pain level?
The pain
was
level
like a mini, like a smaller, because it's burning.
Yeah.
The inside of your body.
You're gonna have like scar tissue surrounding.
She bled a little bit after that because of the wound, and she was a little sore for like the first few days, but like.
Okay.
She's walking around and stuff. She's
Okay.
totally fine. She's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that meant like she felt like that in principle because it was like
Oh,
in some way stopping the reproduction.
Ah.
Okay, I don't know. I was
No,
just
I
wondering.
know.
I was just wondering. I didn't
That
know.
is a
I
thing
am.
for some women,
No.
though.
That's just not
Just
my
everybody
mom.
around the table went, Austin, you,
No.
retail bag, you don't know what you're talking about.
No,
Some
it's just
women genuinely.
Fucking nailed it. That was like a 4-hour-old reference. I love
Sorry,
it.
sorry, yeah. I don't know.
Some women do get that where they like once they go through menopause and stop having a period, they feel like they're less of a woman.
Okay.
Like I know several women that they've gone through it and they've gotten like really fucking depressed. It's like the postpartum depression after you lose a kid. It's like basically the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a whole episode of Golden Girls about it.
Mm-hmm.
Blanche, the seductive one, goes through menopause.
Oh,
She thinks she's pregnant.
trust me. I know who the
She
seductive
thinks
one
she's
is.
pregnant.
All
She
right.
stops
Oh,
having her
alright.
period,
We
and
all
she's
know.
getting
Like
like
some
hot
young
flashes and
gold.
mood swings, and she's like, "Oh, I'm pregnant. Holy shit! I'm like 50, whatever. Like I can't
Very
be a mom."
coming
And
of
then she
age,
finds out she's
sure.
not pregnant. She'll never be pregnant
Sure.
again. She's going through menopause, and she goes this like depression. She's like, "I'm not a woman. I'll never like be a lover again. Like I'm just an old bag like the rest of you." And like that. But she's not. She gets right back to fucking, and she's fine. Like
See, like I totally, but I see how that would get in your mind because obviously I can't even remotely like.
Well, think about
Compare
this. You can't have
anything.
children. Your sperm doesn't.
Well, that's what I'm
It's infertile.
saying. Like sometimes I just realize, like, damn, every one of us, like male or female, or if you're taking hormones or whatever, or if you're taking birth control, like we all have this concoction of this fucking drug inside of us that's coursing through our veins. And like me, as a dude, like you have it like sometimes that like men just build muscle better or whatever, or like are more aggressive because of the testosterone, like higher levels of testosterone, and like it just blows my fucking mind that like women are taking a pill that just fucks with that when they're 14, that just completely, like, I've never had to take a pill, like, oh yeah, hey, you gotta take this when you turn 14 and start getting your time of the month, Will. You gotta do this, and also it might have all these weird hormone effects that normally for you are just completely
usually-
fucking straight, you know, like, I mean, not completely straight, but I would imagine, you know, go on some sort of pattern. You
Like
fuck
straight
with that.
sexually or?
Oh my god, Austin.
No, but that's what I originally when I said stop me if I'm wrong, and you did correct me. I liked the correction on that, but what I was ultimately going to, which I think is kind of Will's point, it's weird to me that I guess once again. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there because I'm hearing a lot of stuff I've never heard before. Justin Garden and Shane Nibbles, I hope you're with me on this one. The funny thing is they are my only 2 subscribers. So go subscribe. Come on.
Well, how am I not subscribed? Where are you posting this? You never told me where you're posting this.
It's on
I'm on the
YouTube.
third.
Just
I'm on the
YouTube.
third
Yeah, it's
episode
I
already. I'm
thought that
on
was
this
like an
podcast. I
obscure
don't know where it's being
podcast
played.
streaming website, and I was like, man, like just put it on where Apple
Yeah.
puts all their podcasts.
Like
Like,
No, yeah.
Spotify.
Yeah,
So
so
do that.
I'm gonna get it all flowed out, and I'll do that. But it's strange that even like I hear stories. It's not super prevalent as much of men, Will and my age. We take drugs to boost it, and then when you get into that after 40, you're doing hormone replacement, you're doing Cialis, Viagra, like you're doing all
it
these
being
things
just
to
like the ability to like do it, or like fertility, because I feel like a lot of men are at like y'all's age are like, fuck no, like don't want to.
Oh no,
The
no,
right
definitely. I
standard,
get
yeah.
that, but I'm saying like it seems like it's always boosting hormones for men like consistently throughout life. There's never a point where, I guess unless somebody's like trying to transition, there's not a point in XY male life where he is trying to decrease testosterone. He's always trying to increase testosterone, but it seems more rare for me to hear stories of women increasing their estrogen.
Yeah.
Is that
I mean, unless you have like a problem with producing estrogen, then yeah.
like you said, like having a low estrogen supplement after you've hit menopause can just kind of keep you. I don't want to say anything incorrect, but just kind of keep you like your normal self because you're used to having those estrogen levels.
And like as you're going through menopause, still like you're gonna have mood swings and shit like that, and that's pretty much what birth control helps with. Not only with like regulating menstruation, it'll help with your emotions and pain and shit like that. Like if I ever give birth to a child, I'll have the worst fucking pain in my back. Like it's not even funny because that's where I get all my cramps. So like some people get cramps here, and that's where they get all of their pain in childbirth. Some people have like uterus cramps. Have you ever had fucking?
Yes.
Oh god,
yes,
those are the worst. Yeah, that means that you're gonna have like really bad pain right there, which
Word.
sucks. So it's like all right here and then all on my lower back.
Ugh, that's gonna be hard.
So like it helps with that.
Are you gonna like epidural?
Oh, I don't know. How if I know if I'm gonna have kids? So
I mean,
Aren't you
I
having
can't
one, like,
imagine having.
next, like couple of months here? Like, aren't you pregnant? What's going on? I'm just
Hey,
joking. No, this doesn't make for a good. It's an audio medium.
No,
It's not a
Will,
visual
what are you
medium.
talking about? We're on video right
Behind
there.
her.
Lucy, you
It's
could,
domestic abuse. Someone said,
Yeah.
"Hey, stop that."
Lucy, you could definitely go to jail for this. This is becoming uncomfortable.
Oh, is it now, Austin?
But yeah, back to what you guys are saying. I feel.
She nipples, call the police.
Is this being streamed right now?
Yeah, this is live.
Live on YouTube.
No, it's not live.
But,
It'll be posted tonight though.
Well, I think like a lot of like men like always trying to like boost like what you were saying, like guys our age and just anything, like the worst fear is like low testosterone, like to not have, like I think we kind of tie it a lot with masculinity and like the essence of manhood and shit. Like you're not. I mean, for me, like if I like for some reason or whatever had low estrogen, like yeah, that's tied a lot to like your sex drive and your like physical like moving around
If you
and
have
like
low
energy
testosterone,
and shit.
you mean.
Like I think. I mean, would you not be worried if you?
No, you just said estrogen. I'm just making sure you're not like. Are you putting yourself
I
in the
meant-
feet
I
of
meant
like
testosterone.
a woman?
Oh.
No. I'm
Oh, okay.
saying like as a dude,
I was
like.
on
Okay,
page.
cool. Got you. Okay.
And I don't know. It just seems like it's a delicate balance. I guess for women, it's just since they have to take these birth control, it's a lot more of kind of a selective process or whatever, and like you kind of have to fine tune the concoction. But for men, it's just like we want to boost it. This is fucking testosterone. It's gonna help me punch
More.
through walls and shit, and like and fucking do backflips and stuff. It's like
But it's like
Whereas-
steroids. Like it will make you an angry tiny man. Like
yeah, because there's a lot of
Well, not necessarily. Well, I mean, you look at Dave Chappelle.
I'm just saying, like if you.
but that's
overdo
not.
it.
Oh,
Like you're saying, like it's a careful concoction for women's like hormones, but men just kind of dump on all the testosterone. But like when you do that, like if you do it too much, if you do certain
Right.
steroid concoctions of testosterone, like it will fuck your shit up.
Right. Because it
It's
does.
not
It's like a
medically
drug. Like
balanced.
side effects are increased aggression. Like that's a thing. Like
Yeah.
even guys who you think, wow, that dude's fucking macho. That guy has a lot of testosterone. More than likely, he just has a really good balance of all the hormones in his body, and he can do that really well. And that's why he's like a totally normal kind of like macho guy. It's not like I think in our minds a lot. I don't know. Me personally, I think like increasing testosterone. That's like increase macho, increase masculinity, increase size and fucking strength and speed, and you become Superman or whatever.
mm-hmm.
Whereas in reality, like it's not always. It just seems weird that at 14 years old, you're fucking not pediatrician, but your general practitioner. Your GP is just like, yeah, we're gonna throw some pills here. We'll see how it works out. Tell me about your lady problems. Like, it just seems like such a difficult.
Is
fucking...
Coach Steve everybody's general practitioner? I'm just
Coach
imagining
Steve.
Coach Steve just like, yeah, I've never seen this before, but I'm assuming you need it. This is my badminton. He didn't take any of this, and he's got 3 kids.
Right.
You're probably not going to go to a general practitioner for birth control.
Okay.
You're
Well,
gonna
see,
go to
that's a
your
good thing.
gynecologist.
I
I
didn't know
did,
that.
and it was uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
she was. So I wanted to bone, and that's what happened. And so I had to tell
You're a
my.
general practitioner, so you went to the gynecologist.
So
You're like,
no.
hey, baby, put some pills in me so you can
No,
put the
like-
pill in me.
I think
I'm
that's
sorry.
verbatim.
It's just like,
I just read on your. Isn't that the transcript on your papers there?
Yes, actually, I would like to tell you, you went to your practitioner on May 9th of 2003?
What if he was right?
yeah, do the math on that. Let's see.
That can't be right.
No, but like I told my mom and I had a very adult conversation about I wanted to have sex with my boyfriend, and she was like, all right, well, that terrifies me, but at least you're telling me, and if you really want to do it, like, let's take you to get on the pill. And my doctor at the time was this older woman, and she basically made me, like, have this in-depth conversation that I already had with my mother about me and having sex and everything, and she gave me this long lecture before she was like, all right, I mean, I guess if you're really sure, you know what the consequences are, like, don't just, you know.
I feel like you know what the consequences are if you're coming to the doctor.
I had to talk to her by myself. My mom wasn't in the room. I was 14.
Wait, so you were left alone on that one?
She made me talk to her by herself, yeah.
Really? I wanted to talk to my gynecologist. Like, I went to my gynecologist for the
I
first
didn't
time
have
by
a
myself.
gynecologist until this year.
Really?
Like last year, yeah. Which is gross. But
no, I mean, that's normal. Like, I know a lot of people who don't get them. Like, my sister still doesn't go to the fucking gynecologist since she's 25.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
She used to go and get a pap smear because that's what you have to do when you're fucking 25. It's not fun.
I mean, it's not. I thought it was gonna be so much worse. I thought it was gonna be a way bigger pinch.
I thought you were gonna be like, I thought it was actually really
No,
fucking
I
fun.
thought-
Blast, honestly.
That was a blast.
The
Would
pap smear is
recommend,
the worst part 'cause
honestly.
They do like the clamps and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not fun.
They have
No.
clams? At the fucking...
Well,
Sorry,
I didn't
I'll
like.
shut up.
Actually, my least favorite part was
Not
like
those
they
guys.
gave me like a breast exam while I was laying on the table. So I'm just like laying down, like staring up at the ceiling, like
Yeah.
praying for a quick smoky death. And
Right?
it just
It's
went
going
on for
on.
such a long time. Her hands were cold.
Did
like,
she talk to you at the same? Do you go to Charleston?
I go to Dr.
General?
Frankel.
Oh, okay, not the same.
Dr.
one.
Franken? I don't know.
Something like that.
Frankenstein?
Frankenstein.
Victor Frankenstein? I just had to
The
read that fucking
ultimate
book.
feminist doctor.
Dr.
I heard
Frankenstein.
Dr. Frankenstein, he does very good surgery work. He can patch you together real well. That's what I've heard
That's what I'm
about
hoping
that.
for.
Yeah.
I feel like the only way I can even come close to comparing to something like that is when you're like, as a dude, when you're like, Will, you might be able to help me on this, when you're like 12? And that's the first time somebody like other than your parents is like, drop them trout. And then he just puts his fingers on your balls and he's like, turn your head and cough, and you're like, this doesn't seem like it has any medical value.
It
like,
wasn't
and
like-
still in my life, I go, I don't get that. Like, why did I have to turn my head? What were you doing down there when I was looking away? Like, I mean, I felt your hand, but like, were there some pictures taken? Was the flash off?
Were
like,
some of those pinches and squeezes erroneous? Like, what are you doing down there, man? Did I really have to cough that much, or were you doing a little bit of self-indulgent shit?
But
down
your
there,
parents
you
like
know?
have to prepare you, because up until that point, they told you like, don't do this with a stranger.
Well, see,
but then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, I'm
Well, your
supposed to
doctor's
do this
not
with a stranger.
Well, that's the thing is because my general
You
practitioner
see him like
was
what, twice a year? That's a
Twice a year?
no.
Twice
Wait.
Yeah.
Maybe once every 3 years.
once a year.
I see my doctor once a year. And even then,
Well, okay, now.
well,
but
I
when
probably
you're
won't anymore because now this is my first year living without my mom, and like.
No, I mean, you should go to the doctor once a year.
I
I've been
mean,
to the doctor since
if
I
I
was like
feel
12
sick,
years
I
old.
get a flu shot every year. I
My
get
mom
like
keeps
my
saying
shots.
that.
I mean, if something's not really
go to
wrong,
Walmart.
yeah.
Walmart flu shots.
Like word.
Yeah, if you need a free flu shot, my mother has them in our fridge at
really?
all time. Well,
Next
at
to
all times
PBR.
during flu season. No,
So
Mick
you want a
Ultra-
beer?
she's
Do you
Mick
want a flu
Ultra
shot, or do you
woman.
want some both? I can just mix them together.
She's a Mick Ultra
Stabs the
woman.
fucking flu shot in the beer.
Dude, I can't even remember the last time I got a flu shot.
Me either. I don't fuck with them.
My mom
That's how
makes
you
me
put your
do it every
FID chips in
fucking
there. That's how the
year.
government is watching us, you guys.
Well, maybe.
Is that a conspiracy theory?
Oh yeah, the government's putting FID chips in like flu shots and shit.
I mean, that makes sense on why they don't fucking work. Like, dude,
Right?
but you think about it, like, it's like all these people get flu shots, right? And then every fucking year they go, all these people who got flu shots died. And I'm just like, well, okay, then that rules that variable out. Why the fuck am I getting that? Like, if people are dying on them, then why the fuck am I getting one? I know why. I'm just saying, like, in my head,
No,
that's,
I
how,
get it,
that's how I
yeah.
justify not paying for one.
well, I think like shit. I didn't get one last year. Didn't get sick.
See, the only time I ever
don't wanna
didn't
fucking
get
break the
one
curse.
was the only time I've ever had the flu.
Boom.
And
see?
it is bad, you guys. It was when it was snowing, like,
Yo.
2 years
2 years ago. And I was just fucking dead. Couldn't enjoy it at all. It was
Jeez,
awful.
man, that's the worst time to get
It was the
fucking
worst
flu,
time
yo.
to get the flu.
Wait, how old are you?
2 years
19.
ago, yeah.
19. Interesting. I was wondering if you were like a kid during this or whatnot. My mom has the flu right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
one?
I should call on her. She's getting old too, man. She might die.
Poor Mary.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
I hope she doesn't
yeah.
listen
Me
to
and
this.
Meg are planning on getting a place.
Yeah, start after episode 3.
Yeah.
It gets better from there.
Awesome. Bring that
Yeah.
chicken.
I don't know if that's the case, but it won't concern you after that.
At the very least,
When
we
she,
came in.
little does she
Yeah,
know
well,
our
you
first
were
3
like,
episodes
you
are
were coming
fucking
into, like,
golden
civilization,
age.
like,
Man,
yeah,
the best
yeah,
3
yeah,
you're ever gonna do.
but I haven't seen him since then.
Yeah.
Love to get to know him.
Oh
he's
man,
like he's a homebody for sure, but yeah, definitely.
that's a
I am
cool
too.
Childish Gambino shirt, Jane.
Thank you. I got it at the concert.
Word.
It was a good concert. Mostly because Ray Shremmerd opened
Oh, wow.
and not Slim Jimmy, the other one.
I thought, I was gonna say Ray.
The other one.
Ray Shremmerd's
Sway Lee.
above them, so is
Sway
Sway
Lee
Lee.
was going so hard on stage, he fell into the orchestra with all the instruments that Childish Gambino needed for his set, and somebody was like, "Get out of there!" and he like fell, and he was like, "It's fine," and he got right back out, and I was like, "That is the most rock and roll fucking thing I ever saw." Like, he was just enjoying it.
So how do you feel about them breaking up?
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
Obviously, I have a very strong positive experience.
I mean, do you think Slim Jimmy can make it on his own?
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll just have to like feature a lot first.
Yeah.
Because I think he has a good like sound to him. He's just not as distinctive as Sway Lee, so it's gonna take more like getting exposure to get him his own.
Because
thing.
Sway Lee's already like in that process.
And he's already like, when you hear a song with Sway Lee, you know it's Sway Lee.
Yeah.
But I would
Yeah.
say that if you hear a song with Slim Jimmy, you don't necessarily know it's
Right.
Slim Jimmy unless you're like a very big Ray Shremmerd fan. So
Right. So like,
it'll just take some more time, I think.
I think to answer your question, yes, it can happen. Probably not though. Like,
That's how I feel.
if they really
but
put a
probably
lot of
not.
fucking
I mean,
Oh,
work
so,
in
like,
there,
you're-
probably not.
Yeah.
I
That's
want to
me.
think yes.
I'm not trying to revise
Yeah.
your point or anything here.
I need notes.
I just honestly
Jane, your
until
opinion.
you.
This is my opinion of
Peer
your
review.
opinion. All right, this is
Peer
my review.
review.
I'm gonna have another 10-minute long review video where I break it down on YouTube so I can pass the 10-minute
You use
mark
a
or
red
whatever.
pen, use a green pen, use a blue pen, and go.
Yeah, we'll just submit all of our opinions to each other and we'll just review them.
Yeah, I mean, up until the point you just said Slim Jimmy, I was like, just then I went, oh, so that's the other guy's name. I'm just gonna be honest with you, like,
Well, I think that's the more, like, I don't know what Sway Lee's name was. And that's my own fault for not, like, listening to enough, like, music. But I think Slim Jimmy's a cooler name.
yeah, I guess so. That is
And he
weird.
says
That
his
is
name
weird
in the
that you
songs more.
knew
He
Slim
says his
Jimmy.
name in the songs more. He's like, Slim Jimmy before he starts his verse on any Ray
Oh.
Shremmerd song. So I knew who he was, and Sway Lee never says his
Really?
name.
See, because I've seen Sway Lee's. The reason why I know his name is because he's featured like
On
on
a
songs.
lot of different...
Yeah.
But I've never seen a featuring Slim Jimmy or really even thought about, like, I knew Ray Shremmerd was 2 people, and I'm like, okay, Sway Lee. And I'm like, well, who the fuck is the other dude? I never really thought about it. Like, I never really thought about what his verse, like, his verses have never been so distinctive, or, like, you know, his part, to where I was like, oh, man, the fuck is that? Like,
Yeah.
he's the special sauce. Which I think they're better off just staying together. I don't know why they won't do
Aren't
that.
they
Like, I
brothers?
honestly feel like they fucking hit their zenith with both of them
Are they,
together.
like,
Like, that's some good
related?
shit.
I feel like
I
they're
have
family.
no idea.
I think they're
They're
brothers or something.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
They'll work it out.
I don't think I don't
It's
think they're.
probably, you know what, I
breaking
think
up
all
forever,
all
but-
of the media is fake anyway. It's probably just a stunt. Like,
Yeah. It's probably just fucking
Probably a fucking
the
lie.
Rothschilds and goddamn Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and all the lizard people and shit.
What are you doing with my cigarette there, sir?
Stuffing it.
I don't know where my phone is. I can't even look this up. There it is. I'm gonna look this up because I actually do want to see if they're brothers or not.
I think they are.
Fact check.
I watched their music videos a lot, like a couple years ago, because I just like really liked Ray Shremmerd songs for a spin, and
Yeah. They're good songs.
their videos
Awesome.
are funny. Like I appreciate any like comedy in like a music video because I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people take it really seriously.
2 brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 brothers.
From Mississippi.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Make music.
surprising.
That is surprising.
Yeah, and they just reversed. I actually found this out the other day. I didn't know this about Ray Shremmerd, but apparently Ray Shremmerd is ear drummers with each of the words backwards.
Flipping it.
Yeah.
Ear drummers.
Like if
Yeah,
ear
so
drummers
ear
was
is
the
flipped
road,
and then
Ah.
drummers is
flip
flipped.
it back.
Man,
Because it's
bold.
Mike Will made it. He used to say it's ear drummers. That used to be his like
Like
tag.
ear drummers, like
Yeah, and they flipped it, and that's why they're called Ray Shremmerd, which is kind of crazy.
Bold to make a name for your duo that's really fucking hard to pronounce. Like if you
But,
haven't
like-
heard it pronounced, you're not just immediately like when you read it, you're like, oh yeah, Ray
No,
Strummer.
it took me
Like
a
I
while.
first was like,
Every time you type that in,
like-
It's so long. I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Until he said it for the first time in front of me, I was like, oh, okay.
but
yeah,
like, have
but you? Who
you?
I was talking to.
Yeah.
But every time you type that in on YouTube, you're not pulling up any other group.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You know.
Like it's like when Black wanted to name himself Black, so instead of putting a B, he put a 6. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna pull up any other things called, like any other groups, videos, or anything called
Yeah.
Black. It's gonna be 6 Lack,
Yeah.
and like you're only gonna get his stuff. So, I don't know. I guess it's kind of risky to remember because I mean everybody was calling Black like 6 Lack and 6
just didn't
Black.
know what to say.
Yeah,
I
we didn't know
I
what
don't
to
talk
say.
about it, and I just like. Okay,
You only
I guess
read
I'll
it.
never talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You know that guy who has that song called this?
And I don't even know how to say the songs. I'm just like, like a Lil Uzi Vert song. I don't know how to fucking say most of them. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a lot of like random letters.
Yeah.
And I'm stupid, so it's like a difficult medium for me to navigate.
I still think it's funny whenever rappers put the $sign as the S. Like it's just like, have we done this enough already? Like,
Yeah.
can we just go
I
back to
don't
the
know.
S now? Like,
I
I
listen
get
to
it.
so
You
much
like
now.
money.
No,
You
you know
like
what I
money.
really want to see is that Superman symbol. That's like the 3 lines.
Like
and when you're in
The
high school or
Harbinger in
whatever,
fourth
you.
grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, but don't.
Yeah, let me
Well, don't
just-
write on my notes. I
Alright,
need.
me and
I
Blake,
need my
please.
notes.
The fucking
Use your notes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I need these
The
notes.
decal on every single high school desk.
Hey,
that
how
you
do you
ever
do
I'm
it?
pretty
Wait,
sure they were
y'all,
made with that
seriously.
shit on
How
now.
do you know which
How
part
do
is
you
it?
do it?
Oh, mine
Shut
has
up,
the
shut up.
Superman symbol.
Yeah, do it again.
Yeah.
That's all of
I
them.
did shading. Okay, yeah. That's too advanced. Take your binder. Take your
Yeah,
goddamn
there you go,
EpiPen and
whatever.
get out of my.
Boom.
Who
That's
are you
what I
making
wanna
fun of
see.
a kid with?
Silk money.
No,
What
it's-
was that?
I was referencing something.
EpiPen?
John
Silk
Mulaney.
money.
Oh,
No.
okay, yeah, okay.
That's
I
too.
love him so much.
So you could do that.
ASAP.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but how are you?
Superman symbol.
How are you gonna put that in like
They'll make
text?
an emoji for it.
I want to see
eventually.
Yeah.
Barbara
They will.
Streisand with
If we
that
talk about it enough, they will make an
Yeah.
OJ for it.
Just have like all the old school fucking musical acts come back and like take back. Like just start using like $sign Streisand.
Right.
Like fucking. Yeah.
I never thought about that though. Like putting Lil before your name really is a big risk because you could. I mean, you get that quick kind of name
Go like this,
recognition,
like a
like
makeup
'cause there's so
tutorials.
many other famous rappers
Oh,
with
yeah.
the name Lil.
When
You
you
know?
do-
No, it doesn't matter.
No, please keep
I'm
talking.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
This fucking podcast is over. I'm quitting. I'm leaving.
Aw.
This is the last episode.
Hey, I was gonna wear that
Billy
t-shirt. I'm
Mathers
glad I
You're
did
wearing
it.
a podcast shirt. That's awesome.
I know. I was gonna wear the same
It's
one.
my favorite
It would
podcast.
match. It would have been bad.
You would have to sit on opposite sides of each other.
Yeah.
Because it would be too much centered sameness.
Agreed.
Balance.
Everything must be balanced in the universe, and James better go Thanos on us and cut 2 of us off this podcast.
Hey,
I'm just
wait,
gonna move you
interesting
over
fact
there.
I learned today. There are 2. Oh wait, no, it was Thor, not Thanos. I'm sorry, wrong person.
Keep talking.
There are 2 Thors though. Like there's
like,
2
all right.
of
I
those
like
really
where this is
beautiful.
going.
I'm
You'll
just
get
like hearing
this.
your voice.
There's 2 of those really beautiful men that play Thor.
Hemsworth.
2 of them. Yeah.
There's more. One
There's
of them's a
more?
doctor. He's not
oh
even an
my
actor.
God, he's a doctor.
More Thor. Hey.
Wow.
Wait, what? Like, there's multiple.
Chris
actors?
Break this down, because that doesn't make
Did
any
y'all
fucking
see
sense.
Hunger Games?
Yeah.
The minor dude that Katniss loves.
Oh.
She's in that triangle.
Ooh, what's his fucking name?
course.
PETA. No,
No, other
not
one.
PETA.
What other one?
Wait,
Motherfucker
is this
named after
is this in
bread.
the book?
Yeah.
Because I've only seen the first movie.
So all I need you to know
I was
is the
gonna say I've
first
only seen the first movie, only read the first
It's
book.
it's the
Pretty
dude that's like her
consistent.
best friend since childhood, and he works in the mines.
Name? It's something weird.
I thought that was PETA.
No,
He's-
PETA's the
PETA's the
baker's
bread
son.
man.
Who does she
'cause
fuck?
His name is PETA.
She
duh.
fucks PETA, but I think she's
She
in a
fucks
love
other guys,
triangle with
too.
both.
Wait, hold on. The author
fucks him,
named a character in the book who makes bread PETA.
After bread. Yes.
PETA.
That's what I said. I was like, you just gonna
Wow,
name
that's-
a fucking character after
That
bread.
is deep. That is
That's-
deep.
I bet his
Or
name's like
friend.
Jacob or something like not
Dude.
fun and not.
No, it's
Hunger Work.
weird. I'm pretty sure. Gail. It's not that weird. It's
Yeah.
Gail.
It's a lady.
Wait,
name,
his
which
name's
is-
Gale?
His name is Gail Hawthorne.
So we were so they really are in a dystopian future because if I knew a guy named Gale, I'd be like,
Shit had to be
wait,
pretty bad.
are you an 80-year-old woman like trapped in and a 14-year-old that kind of looks attractive enough for a movie's body. Like,
Have you guys seen the ads on Hulu for Future Man, like season 2?
Yes.
Like, hi, my name is Susan. I know that's a woman's name in your time, but it's not. Like,
I want to watch that show. Have you?
the
like,
first
seen it?
season,
I've
like
heard
the first few episodes are funny. Like, I watched it with my folks and we liked it a lot.
The
Is that
ads
made
look
by
super
Hulu?
funny.
My
Yeah, it's a
folks,
Hulu
I love
original.
it.
My
Okay.
folks, eh?
Fuck that. I don't like new things. I don't like new things trying to do new things. I like just have every old thing. I want only HBO making TV ever.
Yeah.
And I only want fucking Paramount making movies. And
Yeah.
it's fine. Fucking
Well,
HBO, webs.
And
It's the
Nick was
internet.
done.
How can they make things? It's the internet. Now they're just gonna.
Well, I hate seeing things that are like a Netflix show, like Stranger Things, and it's like, oh yeah, it's an online television series. I'm like, you don't call it that.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah, it's a
It's a
fucking TV
Netflix
show.
It's technically on the internet, but like, don't call it an online like television series. Like, that makes it sound like it's less impressive. It's a television series.
I bet that's because the companies that own those fucking news sources also own fucking the regular mainstream kind of movie makers and shit. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, they all own everything. You know what I mean? So they're trying to shade it because like for a while, anything that was on Netflix couldn't be eligible for like an Oscar or anything. Like,
Right.
the Academy doesn't look at it. You know what I mean? So they definitely do discriminate against those purely because it's much fucking easier to promote their shit if they can say this is an online, like you said, like demoting it. This is an online fucking web series, even though it's 30-minute and hour increments. You know, it's whatever.
Yeah.
It's a TV show.
It's
But it's just
made
not
with
on
the
TV.
same quality as like an HBO show.
Yeah.
Like House of Cards was, I think, one of the first online shows to start winning Emmys. Like, it was racking up awards.
And it's like almost like we need a whole new word for it because it's not a TV show. We're not watching it on TV.
Right?
Should we just call it episodic?
No.
That's not a good
Immediately.
word.
Well, it's not. It's
Not very catchy, Will. I'm gonna be honest with you.
You don't just want to call them episodics.
No.
That's it. That's all I was gonna say. You
Sounds
cut
like
me
you're
off.
trying to
but-
speak fake Spanish.
I mean, what? I mean, I feel like
Someone-
don't you just call them
You
series?
soy episodic.
Yeah,
Like
you
a
can call it a
series?
series.
Like it's
I
just
am
like it's like an
exotic.
episode series.
I used to
Episode
say
series
show.
on Netflix.
Yeah.
A show.
Programs.
A
Yeah,
show.
a
That's
show's fine.
perfect.
I think we need a
A
technical
show's
term
fine.
to
Well, like,
put
on
in
Netflix,
sociology
they do, like,
textbooks so we can teach kids about.
But there's
Yeah,
there's
that's all right. It's Netflix shows.
but there's
Okay,
there's a
subcategories.
television show, and then just like you said, there's a Netflix show.
There's
Which are the
shows, there's
categories
like
are?
limited series, which are like, you know, only gonna be
Like
one
Maniac.
season. Yeah, something like that. And then
Yeah,
you
I
know,
like that. I
that's
like the
good.
limited series shit. Like when you know like a concept is good, but only good for like a season. Just
Yeah.
You don't
fucking
wanna
end
burn
it.
out
That's
on it.
fine.
Once
Yeah,
you
end
do,
it.
burn
That'd be
out.
great.
Yeah, Hulu did Sharp Objects, and that was a really good
Yeah.
one series show.
Don't
They
need
might
it to
make
be
another
7
one
seasons.
once the next book comes out, but like
Yeah,
it's based loosely on the book.
that's what The Walking Dead should have been. Should have been a limited series. I don't
that
think
could've
it should
been
go
very,
so
Grey's
I think
Anatomy,
that could have
too.
been very impactful. Like if they weren't worried about stretching it out, like into
Right, like if
But they
everybody
were just
fucking
trying to
dies.
finish it because the book was already finished, and the book actually
Right,
ends
it is
pretty
an
badass.
That's what I've
adaptation.
heard.
It's
Is
an
that the fucking
adaptation,
book
that's
is
the problem.
amazing, and then they deviate. You
Well,
know?
no, the book they stay straight to the comic book
They definitely deviate at some
a
point.
little bit.
a little bit, but they stay on it. And dude, I'm telling you, if this finishes, if the series finishes, the last part's pretty badass. I'm just saying, like if they stay to the comic book and they come to that last arc, that last arc is fucking insane. It'll change the entire world.
But they could have at the same time done like a Game of Thrones thing where it's like a short season. Like you're gonna get all your good bits in an episode, make it theatrical. It's already an hour long. Just keep it tight, like wrap it up. Like
Instead of like dragging it on with all these fucking like subplots and
having
stuff.
like season mid breaks, like midway through, you're like, all right, like go
Yeah.
rest, like take your holiday off. Like
Right, a mid-season break. You guys did this 6
I'm gonna
months ago.
forget,
Why are
like-
we breaking?
Yeah.
The actors aren't tired.
This isn't
What the fuck is
school,
going on?
like-
Yeah. Fucking
this
work
is
like
what
the
I would
real
do.
world.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
So it
waiting.
seems like up until a point, like really recently, that Netflix was actually a private company of their own, which is crazy because up until Netflix and Hulu came along, there were only 3 parent media companies which did all of television, movies, music. Like, cause like if
Fucking
you look
news.
at news,
What I
well
was
yeah,
saying earlier.
television.
Just saying. I was right. Just
No,
saying.
but seriously,
right,
like
you
until YouTube and Netflix and Hulu and all these internet things came along, there were only 3 major. There were 4, and then I think it was Universal bought a smaller one, and then it ended up just being Universal, Sony, and
Sony fucking owns everything.
well, it's all this trickle down. So like you
It's
think
the
of
same way with big beer companies to microbreweries.
yeah, it's just this like pyramid scheme. Like you even think about like like for a while there, like Drake had his own label before he broke out from under Rich Gang. He was under what do you call it? He was OVO, and then he was under Rich Gang, and then Rich Gang was under this company, and then I think they were under Sony, but all these labels, like it was like this.
And every time you do that, they get less of a cut, and then they get less. So you're getting fucked. Like you have 50 different I mean, it's still
and that's
that
why
way
the
today.
Weeknd, and that's why the Weeknd when he came to OVO, he was like, no, like I'm gonna go get #1 records and get a lot of money for them, and then just disappear for a while, and then come back and do that shit again. Like,
oh, man. I feel like you have a whole Weeknd thing going on that you want to tell us about. Like, tell me about your relationship with the Weeknd.
Okay, but like think about it. So the Weeknd, he's coming up. He's releasing like albums and mixtapes regularly. Then he starts like he's got this vision of like how the music industry is. He's like content, make a lot of content, like get that stuff out there. Then he starts messing around with Drake, gets a Drake feature. He gives Drake a feature. He ends up on Take Care. He ends up writing the majority of Take Care, just because he's in the studio with Drake. Drake sounds exactly like The Weeknd on that album. And then when the album gets released, The Weeknd gets some writing credits, and then Drake rakes in like this major cash because he knew how the contract was getting written. And then The Weeknd goes, wait a second, that's kind of like my album, and now Drake's recognized for it. And so that was when Drake was thinking about signing The Weeknd, and The Weeknd goes, wait a second, you got your own label that's signed to this label, that's signed to this label, that's signed to this label, that's a company that is signing like all these labels. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sign directly to like the major label because I'm going to be amazing. Mm-hmm. And so he like went away, dropped some tracks. Like, I mean, how many, like how much have you heard from The Weeknd, like solo stuff since he released Starboy, which was on all the radio stations, from pop radio stations to hip hop stations, which is the radio stations. Like you can include country, but how much
pop
of
music is hip hop?
Yeah, how much of demographic is listening to country music? I'm just being honest. Like,
Anderson County, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as much.
And
like
even there, they're
yeah.
like, let's get some of that hip hop country in here, and then
Lord
it's
of
like
July,
the most
baby.
disgusting fucking music ever made is hip hop country.
But
anyway,
country's not getting exported. Like hip hop and pop are getting exported. So if you can create a #1 Billboard track that is both #1 on the hip hop and #1 on the pop, like that's #1 around the world. Which Starboy was #1 around the world for a long time. Not just the single, but also his album. And so he does that, and then, like, what have we heard from him? We've heard a feature with Kendrick, Prayers, for Black Panther, and then...
Which he got paid a shit ton for, because it was for...
Black Panther.
Like, he's at the point now, like, similarly to, like, Frank Ocean, where he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do exactly what I want, I'm gonna release albums that I want to now, I have the money, fuck it, I'm gonna do what the fuck I feel like, which is cool. Like, I wish a lot of artists could do that, whereas, like, I guess the opposite arc of that would be like Lil Wayne, like who has kind of been fucked over and had money taken from him for the longest amount of time to the point where you can't really retire. You know, he doesn't have as much freedom as those other artists do. That's just interesting. It's weird how some people can do it so right and some people can
make a bad business call.
Yeah, or just get fucked over by somebody.
Yeah. While we're on like Drake, kind of, can we like renounce Drake? Like, I kind of fucking hate him.
Yeah.
The more I find out about Drake,
100% about
the
that.
more I find like he's really good at making music, but the more I find out about Drake, the less I like him. And like, did you see that video of him like touching that 17-year-old girl on stage?
Yeah.
Finding out she was 17 and then touching her again, going, "Why you look like that? Your breasts feel amazing. You're beautiful," and kissing her on the mouth again, like sending her goodbye with a kiss on the mouth. Like, that was gross, weird. And then he's just kind of a douchebag. Regardless, like, minus that video, minus that whole thing that already happened. Like, he's just kind of
I think he got famous too early with doing the fucking TV show beforehand. He got famous way too early and fucked himself over from there.
And Lil Wayne was like, you have talent, like, come
Thought he
with
was
me.
bigger than he is, yeah.
Can I just say, like, as a hip hop head, like, we've been telling you all this since the beginning.
That's what I'm trying to say over here.
Us,
I was like, my opinion on
What,
Drake hasn't
Drake?
really changed. I've been telling you he's a vapid fucking corporate drone that's just filled with fucking producers and fucking bullshit people pupping him around. He doesn't have any original sort of insight in it of his own. All he does is glom onto whoever's featured with him and fucking bite their style. And he touches 17-year-old girls or however old they were now. You know, it's like the cherry on top.
I'm
He
really
likes the
nervous
piece
about
with
him,
the
like,
14-year-olds.
grooming the girl from Stranger Things into being, like... Because there was this whole thing where he was friends with this model who's, like, 16 or 17 when he met her. And, like, they dated when she turned 18, like, for a little bit. And he's, like, friends with Millie Bobby Brown. And
No, poor child.
no, she's like, everybody leave me and Drake alone. Like, we're just friends. Like, he's helping me with, like, boy troubles. And, like,
You're 13,
everyone's
you don't have
like,
boy troubles.
everyone's like, you are being groomed. Like, you're being groomed for, like, I mean, he might not date you, but, like, you're being groomed to, like, serve this weird
position
purpose.
in
Like,
his
he
role,
should not
like,
try to be solo your friend, little 14-year-old girl, and not to, like, demean her as a person, like, saying that she's not, like, capable
She's a
of
fucking
thinking.
child.
She's a
dude.
child.
She's a
not an
child.
adult. Like,
So he's R. Kellying women? Is essentially
Yeah.
what's happening? Like,
she's not locked up yet, but yeah.
well, I mean,
I heard he kept women in his house.
okay, so
I
I
could
need
be
to
wrong.
watch
Okay,
this.
But
So-
Surviving
like,
R. Kelly.
I
haven't
heard
seen
R.
it.
Kelly like kept women in his house and just like wouldn't let them leave, and their families
he
were
keep
like,
them trapped
"Where's
in
our
the closet?
daughters?" And he was like, "No."
okay, so this is before all this shit blew
The
up.
recent, this
Before
was like years
all
ago.
this shit, like I'm
Yeah,
talking
okay,
about
wait.
like way back,
What's
like
the
this was
original?
this is just what was like known about R.
Like,
Kelly.
he peed on a girl.
No, this was
This is
after. This was even before. It was going on before that, but after he peed on the girl, fans started to find out about it, and it was just common knowledge.
But was it like consensual? Like, did she
Well,
want
okay,
it?
so that's
Some people
that's
are
the
into that.
that's this
She was
whole.
16.
Okay, well, that's not consensual.
It depends
so.
on
Well,
where you are.
Okay, so it is
Okay.
that's how he gets away with it because so here's the thing. He would have when he started blowing up, he, was going to these different cities. He was hooking up with women, like consensual sex, I guess, like to a point like they were of age. He was seeing them at concerts, they were enthralled with him, he was sleeping with them. And then he would get groupies, and he would get their numbers, and then he was coming through the cities, and he was just regularly having sex with these women. He would just, go all over the place, and they
Like,
knew
he
he was like
got
hooking up with
checked by a
other
doctor,
people, but it was
man.
R. Kelly, right? And then it got to a point where then he started, getting extremely wealthy. He started buying houses in these certain places that he was going. So he had a place for him to stay because he's wealthy. He's allowed to do that, have multiple houses or whatever. And then he would have these women take care of these houses, these women that he had been sleeping with because, that he trusts them.
They basically got a house.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, they got to live there and, he would come through and bang and then he would dip out. Then he started this program in these places that he was, had these houses where he would approach parents and people, not just girls, but the only people who ever got selected for this program were girls. And he would come to them and he would be like, your child's really talented. I've got this house and I've got a woman that is a caretaker of the house. She takes care of everything and cooks and cleans and does all this stuff. And when I come
Trains a
through,
woman.
I'm gonna train, and groom your daughter to be this phenomenal singer or
Sex slave, singer.
Yeah.
Singer is
But-
what I said.
But that's essentially what happened. Is so these parents give this consent for this girl to be for R. Kelly to be a legal guardian.
No.
And yeah,
Oh, that's so
That's
fucked.
why would you ever do that in general, though?
well, I don't think
When
it
a rich
so-
man comes and is
guardian
offering to
comes-
make your child a star, and you think, oh, it's R.
but
Kelly,
you
and you're trying to give him the
sell
benefit of the
your
doubt.
child's soul.
Well, so
pretty
it's not.
much.
I don't know if it was necessarily legal guardian, but they were basically acknowledging to the government
When he's in town, he's in charge.
Well, no, they would stay with
Oh,
they would
okay.
stay with him
They
all
would
the
stay
time.
at the house.
And like he wasn't like there was never any physical harm that came from him. Like it was just very like understood. Like when him and his friends are around, like you keep your head down, you stay in your room, like you stay away. And like there was never really any singing training, and like the lady was always really strict about like the rules of like what's going on. And then like there and then that was going on. But then the story started to leak of like the videotape with the 14-year-old girl, and then most recently the girl who got out of that, and she went back with him during the court case of the 14-year-old girl
Was
he
it
peed
for
on.
money?
What?
Was it for money?
I don't remember her name.
I thought
But
you
I
said,
know-
was it funny? And it was like,
No,
this,
was it
no,
for
this
money?
probably wasn't
But she
funny.
went back the day she saw
Just later in
him
the story.
outside, walking outside court. She came back to his house, and that day he told her to get into a bathing suit. She got into a bathing suit. They were swimming around, and then when they got out of the pool, he was just like, "Take it off," and she was just like. She literally says in the interview, she's just like, I mean, it was R. Kelly. Like, I didn't know.
What to do?
Yeah, and so she just took it off, and then,
Yeah.
and she was the one to come out about it. But like, it has been like understood for like years that he's had this going on.
Israel's
Right.
just like chucking loaves of bread behind
Right.
him, like, here you
Right.
go.
Well, I mean, he thought he had it covered. Like,
Not
he thought he had it
even
covered because he had these parents just like people were enthralled with it.
Like, he thought he was
Well,
legally
yeah,
in the clear because he acknowledged the parents of the
Yeah.
children he was
Well, yeah,
preying
and literally,
on.
like, that's how people get away with sexual, misgivings and shit, is by having some, like, authority figure.
Like some
which is why,
authoritative
like, which is why you have
gesture,
so many, like, whether it's, like, a group leader, or, like, a teacher, or a pastor, or whatever, like, if you
Yeah.
have power around children,
Mhm.
and you won't seek to influence that, like, which R. Kelly made that for himself.
Yeah.
It's that control that they want over fucking people. It's awful. But yeah, he thought he could get away with it because he's fucking a rich and powerful dude. They've been getting away with shit like that forever.
He's, like,
you know?
been-
No, but I mean,
some
he
people
was
can do
literally
it.
like
Yeah,
he
get
literally
away with
got
it.
away with it with the girl he peed on. So like, why the fuck would you think he was gonna stop?
And we didn't talk about that. We wouldn't be talking about this right now at all were it not for a Surviving Kelly documentary. If somebody didn't, it's some fucking dude with a microphone and the gumption and the pizzazz to go out there and make a documentary, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. You know, like, and think about how many other cases that aren't talked about.
Well, and I think the culture right now is like, I'm not saying the girl who came out and said it wasn't ballsy for coming out and saying it, but I don't think it was like too ballsy of a production company. I honestly, like, I think the
Oh, no,
production
it's
company
kind
was
of
eating up
ballsy.
the
hanging
culture.
fruit
No,
with R.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
ballsy,
It
but
wasn't like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of someone who's like beyond like criticism in that way. But R. Kelly was like always like a controversial figure as far as sexually.
Yeah.
And so that was like a pretty easy documentary to make.
But I mean, nobody can say the remix to Ignition isn't a hot track. But
So
that's all I've got to say.
So that's another question. It's like, I don't think people that, you find out are creeps should continue to have that platform, but do you have to stop liking everything that they've done? Because I feel guilty.
Do you take down their music?
Wait,
I feel
I was talking to
guilty.
someone about, was it you that I was talking to about R. Kelly the other day? How he's a really shitty person, but he still makes good music, like Kanye.
That's how I feel about
I don't know.
Okay, I've got to go to the restroom, but that Kanye thing gonna hit me right here.
Okay,
but-
maybe it wasn't you then, alright.
who are you talking about? What
I
do
don't
bad
know.
do you have to say about Kanye?
No, I don't know. I was talking to someone who had a bad opinion about him. Can I smoke this cigarette while we're doing this?
I mean, yeah, you also have to go outside,
Well,
so
yeah,
I guess
I'm
it's
gonna
just
do
gonna be the Will and Jane show. Hey, this is the Will and Jane show. It's time to kick it into the next fucking gear, baby. This is phase 2 beginning.
We're sponsored by Goodbye Fresh, where you send other people your vegetables. And they have to make a meal. That's fucking fun.
So what is it, like your leftovers, or because it's Goodbye Fresh, so you're still sending?
Like, you buy
Fresh
broccoli
food?
with good intentions, but you also buy a DiGiorno stuffed crust pizza, and you're like, stuffed crust. Yeah. And they'll pay you to, like, send your broccoli to them.
Wow.
Basically. It's like a consignment store for
Oh, so
groceries.
this is real.
No. I mean,
Oh, shit.
I mean this shit up.
Okay, you seem really convincing there for a
I
second.
could sell
You should
you
lie to me more,
Goodbye
Jane.
Fresh.
You should really lie to me more because you could really
Just gonna
get away with a lot
buy
of
your
good shit.
second-hand carrots or whatever the fuck. Like,
Yeah.
Jane, you should get into pyramid schemes.
Ooh, girl, I'm gonna be the next fire festival.
Yes.
That
Be
shit
like,
was
where'd
crazy.
you get the vegetables? Be like, ugh.
Yeah.
I watched both the documentaries on Fire Festival. The
Oh,
one on
there's
Hulu
two?
and the one on Netflix. Yeah, there's two.
What's the one on Hulu? Why are they all making this all of a sudden?
She's
She's
smoking.
smoking sick.
Is it a different one that's
Yeah,
on?
you're getting
Yeah.
cancer.
Yeah,
you're
they're
not
two
on-
separate ones.
It's not about the podcast. We can talk.
Right.
We can't talk
I
about.
just,
There are this pack of wolves around Austin's house, right? That attack because the sight because of sound. They're attracted to sound. It's very similar to Bird Box and A Quiet Place. We're trying to make our own movie similar to that, climb onto that whole fear of being seen thing, you know. And it's gonna be about locked in Austin's house, and there's a grove of wild wolves out there. That Lucy's definitely the first one to die. I mean, she's out there smoking a cig,
She's
you know
right
what I mean?
out there, yeah.
And she's making all sorts of noise, so they're already locked on. But yeah, anyway, your Hello Fresh.
Goodbye, Fresh.
Goodbye Fresh, rather. Sorry, I gotta stay on fucking marketing, man.
Did you hear my good idea?
No, what's up?
Goodbye, Fresh, where you pack up your vegetables and send them to us, and we'll make a meal instead of Hello Fresh.
So like, if you have,
You bought broccoli.
but
You
you're
didn't think it all the way through. You're not gonna eat that broccoli. It's like a consignment store for groceries.
Oh, so you send it back so it gets used.
You send it to HelloFresh.
And be like,
What is
yeah.
Goodbye, Fresh.
My
So
grandfather
they're just
ate
using all
kale
this
like this.
old food.
Eat your fucking
Yeah.
ho-hos, you pig. That's the motto of Goodbye, Fresh.
Eat your fucking home. Oh my gosh. Oh,
I'm
It's
the
called
next Billy
vintage,
McFarlane.
that's beautiful. I'm trying to think. Who is it? There's somebody on the hall, and I don't think it's HelloFresh, but they do get like one of those like cook in a box the sets, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel
There's
like
a
it's an
couple of those
adult
floating out now.
Lunchables, you know.
It is.
It's an adult Lunchables. that's
Except
what
you
that
gotta
is.
cook it, so it gives you some level of empowerment to where
Yeah.
you're not totally like, God, I'm a worthless fucking adult.
You made it
I
on the
can't
stove
cook.
instead of in the microwave. You're
Right.
Like,
Yeah, look, I cook things, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm
it's
a
I don't know
real
what my
adult
kids
and
are,
shit.
but I have a.
Fucking Goodbye Fresh.
I made an omelet.
Or
Yeah.
hello, goodbye. Hey, why don't you stay for another 2 hours, Fresh? You know, that's the middle one
Oh,
in between
hey,
those two.
you.
Oh, hey, you, Fresh.
We're making
I don't-
another fresh.
Yeah, that's the third Fresh. This is the in-betweener one. I don't
That's
know the
when you have to
concept
make a
yet,
meal with
but-
food you forgot you had.
Yeah, I did that.
There
all
you
the time.
go, yeah.
And
That
give
you
us
cut
money.
the mold off of the edges and shit.
Done
and
that with
you-
cheese multiple times.
You tell us what you have, and we'll tell you how to eat it.
Yeah.
That'll be $20, please.
Wait, that's actually good service.
There's an
I-
app
there's
where
an
you
app
say-
that does
There's
that.
apps where you just tell them everything you have in your fridge, and they'll tell you what you can make with it. The only thing that
What?
sucks is you have to catalog your fridge. Like, you have to take inventory of your own fucking fridge, and
I can't.
Yeah,
do
doing
that right
inventory
now.
of the restaurant is already fucking hard
Well,
enough. You know, we gotta do that shit.
you want to bring your work
Well,
at
when
home.
you do
no,
inventory
like,
Yeah.
I hate sweeping
Your
at
fridge,
home.
it's gonna be 16 pounds of ground deer,
That is true.
12 pounds of wild boar, and various different
And then hot
Wait,
sauce.
hold on.
yeah, and eggs.
A ground deer? Is that different?
Hamburger deer.
Is there like stop.
Wait.
Is there like a flying deer?
You're gonna say that. I was just waiting so long for that fucking punchline.
Yes.
Is this a deer that burrows in the ground, unlike the deer I've known all my life?
It's like when an ostrich sticks its head in the ground, like in sand, when it gets scared. Ostriches do that.
I don't think
Deers,
they do.
it's like the same thing.
Ostriches
You
are
can still
birds.
see their antlers poking up the other side.
I don't
No,
believe it.
no,
I don't
no,
believe it.
no. They did
I don't.
far enough in. It's just the entire body that's hanging out. The head's down.
There are key
Antlers
deer
and all.
though.
Those are cute and small.
They are. They're
I
little
love them.
pocket-sized deer.
I love them.
Oh,
They're like dog
little
size.
fuckers in the keys.
You got
Yeah.
iPad. You got iPad Mini.
There's
You
iguanas all
got
over
deer.
the
You got
place,
key
I love
deer.
the keys. Like, that's a spot I want to revisit.
Which key do you
Um,
normally go to?
West.
Nice.
I've only been
Realize
once.
James was so fucking rich.
I've only been
God.
once, and it was for a friend's birthday. And
That's cool.
I was like 15, so I didn't get to do anything fun. But I saw all these cats in like what's the square? You know, there's like a town square in Key West or whatever, and there's this homeless guy who like takes in cats. He's like rich
There's a
because
guy
he's a
like that
performer.
on one of the keys that does chickens.
He does with chickens?
Yeah, different key. Remember all those chickens we saw? It was with that place that you put your head in, and there was like a pretty lady around you, and you put your head in her. Yeah.
It made me
you
feel.
don't put your head in her.
For some reason.
Is this
Pretty
the
ladies love
ostrich?
it.
What is this? Ostrich? And who?
This is,
Attacked and eaten by. Why have you been looking up wild animal like mauling other animal videos? Like you showed us a video of an alligator eating a dog
Wait,
while
is
we
this
were
the
walking
first
into your
encounter
apartment
of an
before we
ostrich?
came here.
that video's hilarious though.
Wait, okay, yeah. There's this fucking. Should I do the puppy and crocodile video?
I feel like the puppy's really trying to put up a fight, and the crocodile just.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
fucks
like
with it
chases
for a
around the
while.
crocodile, and then all of a sudden, boom. All right,
The
bye.
dog's like
small.
this big, and they just let it keep attacking this.
Okay,
Like,
well,
look at that ostrich. It's going down.
what did you fucking expect? That's
Yeah.
lioness.
Yeah, but look at it kicking.
You know what's fucking
Why doesn't
funny?
it just fucking fly away? Like, it's such a
Because
dumb fucking animal.
Ostriches don't fly. A.
Okay, first of all, they don't stick their fucking heads in grounds. Like, how many birds do you know
Go.
that do
All
that?
right, you're on YouTube. Go. Look it up.
Go.
A. Look up ostrich head in ground.
While you're looking that up, have you guys ever looked up how penguins have sex?
No.
It's really gentle. So
No,
the-
you have to look up an ostrich because when you say bird, it's gonna be the ones that actually burrow.
He's
Yeah,
There's
some,
no
like-
birds that go.
some
I'm
birds
done
that
with it.
live
I'm
Ground,
done with
literally
it.
ground
I'm done.
nesting birds.
I don't.
Ground nesting birds.
I'm done
That's
with
not
this.
even an ostrich.
You look up an ostrich putting its head in the ground.
I can't do this.
What?
I
Do it.
can't. I
You
can't.
don't
I
want
can't
it.
entertain this insanity. Listen, this is a pineapple podcast. This is a podcast where we're about
Do we talk about
facts.
pineapples here?
Facts on
I'm-
this paper.
they grow on
Prove
vines.
me
It's
wrong.
Really weird.
Facts.
Fact: pineapple grows on vines. It's very uncomfortable to watch. They
That
grow-
is
they grow
uncomfortable.
on the-
I didn't know
They
why.
grow on the ground.
I don't like that you told me that.
Wait, so they don't grow on
Really
a
don't.
they
They
don't
don't
grow on a pine
pineapple
tree?
No,
They don't grow on pine trees, actually.
or pineapple trees.
Really? So you're telling me pineapples are not the result of a pine tree and an apple tree fucking furiously without a condom?
Correct.
That's not how that works? You're telling me that
Unfortunately,
pineapples
no.
are not, they're not like the mulatto child. Oh shit, I shouldn't probably say that
That's
that is racist.
You fucking
They're
ass.
the mixed child
Although-
of a pine tree and an apple
Last
tree. We can just
week-
edit that part out. It's
Wait.
fine, Austin.
Last
Yeah.
week I did
We need to
learn-
get more alt-right viewers anyway, man. We gotta get more fucking clan viewers.
Dude, they're pretty like hardcore viewers too. Like, I've noticed.
I don't know
Wait,
why,
wait.
but
Have you ever heard the song "Nazi Punks Fuck Off" by the Dead Kennedys?
Yes.
Yeah,
Good song.
Nazi punks are what you're about to get as your viewers with that kind of nonsense.
With
That
the
was my
mulatto
high school
Nazis.
sweetheart.
Who?
No? Okay. Yeah.
No, but that's like a true story though. Like.
Yeah, I want to put him on blast. Stop having bad ideas.
Put him on blast.
All right, Shane Nipples and Justin Garant.
Oz, you know what you should do? You should put a whiteboard right here and put the topic of the day.
It's in my fucking notes. These are real notes too. Where is
They're
it?
all real notes.
Yeah, they're all real notes. Where did I put it?
Jane, do you want any of this drugs?
No, thank you.
I mean, fake play drug. You know, this is all for
This
the.
is
This
fake
is all
play
for the
drugs.
visual appeal. It's all for
Sign
the stage
Behind
play.
Podcast with news.
You don't even have to do a whiteboard. You just take a piece of paper and you just
Yeah.
tape it up.
Or just get like
The
a.
second-
That
pieces
seems
of
to be
paper
working.
just randomly-
That seems
yeah.
to be working
Not
great.
these, like a
No,
like
just
a
get a-
construction piece of paper.
What do you think I am, a mom? I don't have construction paper,
Do you know a
or
mom?
or a
Dollar
third
Tree?
grade
Yeah, have a
teacher.
mom.
Hey,
Like, go
when the
find
Dollar
her.
Tree opens,
That
it'll
can be your
the-
surrogate mom.
No,
Thank you,
yeah,
Lucy.
it is your surrogate mom because that's everything that you need. Okay, it's the Dollar Tree. All right, I want to hear
Was
about
your
it.
mom a Dollar Tree?
Yes, okay.
It's not the
Pretty
giving
much.
tree. It's
Was
the
there a
Dollar
lot?
Tree.
Was a lot
Dollar
that
Tree.
your mom would give for $1? Is that?
No, we would go to the Dollar Tree and get $3 that we could spend at the Dollar Tree. That's 3 whole items you can get. You can get a
That's a good
mystery
bit.
bag that has several items.
Uh huh.
That's
Oh, that's a gamble.
stuff our notes.
I'm just making a note that your mom did a lot for $1. She had mystery bags that you got a lot for $1.
On items to address later, can we put down psychoanalyze Lucy and her Oedipus complex and shit? Can we put that
I
down?
don't know what that word means, and I don't like it.
You shouldn't like it.
I
It's
don't know
good
what it
instinct.
means.
You should follow your
It
instinct.
sounded bad.
Because it was bad. That's a good instinct, Lou.
Got it. Psychoanalyze.
Gotta hit that later.
Psychoanalyze.
For all the viewers out there, just so you know, you spell psycho like you're supposed to spell it. Gosh. So, now that we can get to our true topic of the podcast for today.
The actual top. That was all intro.
Yeah,
that
that was all just a prelude to this long journey that we're going to take
Fucking dig it.
down this path. But my true question that I have for tonight is Spider-Man? Are we ever going to get past an origin story? That's my question. Just putting it out there.
Oh, wow.
Are we ever going to get past an origin story? And on top of that question, if you also want to address this as well, is that why Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans are the best in my opinion? Because we actually got past the beginning of the story. Besides that Nickelodeon fuck that did the second series, and then this dumb, stupid ass fucking cartoon version.
Oh, brother.
So
I love
if you want to,
I love the Spider-Man cartoon.
No.
This is
I'm
the
talking
new
about
one.
the.
really
I'm
good.
talking about the stupid one with that.
Oh, the one with what's his fucking face's song in it? God damn it, Post Malone.
What?
He has a
So
song
that's
with it.
Sunflower.
Yeah, Sunflower.
So you don't like it either.
You're
since
a
Post
big
Malone-
ass. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I haven't seen it. I don't like Post Malone.
I could
very
talk
much,
about this for hours.
So,
actually.
okay,
Oh,
but-
okay, let's. I want you guys to talk.
But,
Because
okay,
I'm
seriously.
fairly ambivalent to this, so you guys go.
I am being honest here when I say, okay, I went a little far where I have not seen the cartoon one, but I've heard good things about it, so I can't really give my opinion on that one.
Calling it dumb because it's a cartoon. That's
Well, I was
rude.
on a rant and everybody was laughing, so I'm just gonna. Let's try to keep going. I need affection. The second one, I did see the second series. Don't like it.
Don't like.
I don't like the Nickelodeon fuck. That's what I'm calling him, the main actor, because he looked like that. And the reason I call him that is because it felt like a Nickelodeon movie to me, and I feel like Spider-Man is a grown-ups thing, and I feel like we're trying to appropriate it for children, and I don't think children are ready for a mutation. I'm gonna finish my series. I was doing a comedic, and then I'm gonna do a
He's
serious.
getting to his real point. He's swinging around.
Okay, and then last point on the Nickelodeon movie, one of the first reactions to it was keep your fucking mask on. You're a superhero. Stop taking your mask off. That's just a side thing. But also personal bias. I went to go see the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans with my dad, and that was an amazing moment. But also I've revisited them, and they still hold up because we actually got past the origin.
So to address.
Yeah.
Address your points.
Go ahead.
I feel like the point that sticks out most to me is you're saying that Spider-Man is for grown-ups and not children, and we shouldn't make it a children's thing.
Yeah.
However, when Spider-Man was first accepted, everyone rejected the idea that a kid could be a superhero. Everyone's like, no one wants to see about some random punk kid doing his daily life and being a kid,
Right.
being a superhero. And then he made it anyway, and it was really relatable.
Peter Parker, the person with a full-time job?
No, Peter Parker, the student, the young man.
Well, see, I think you
kid.
guys are getting fucked up because there
There's
are
a lot of
he
iterations
started
of
out
Spider-Man.
as a kid initially, getting bit by the spider, or whatever, you know what I mean?
I'm-
But there's so many iterations that you're right. There's adult Spider-Man.
There are.
You have kid Spider-Man in the comic books,
And then
you got the video game. He's an adult. Then you got the 20-year-old Tobey Maguire. Then you got kind of the kid version now in the Marvel universe. You know, so there are even in pop culture, we've milked the fuck out of Spider-Man,
Now, do you think
man.
that's a
Like,
bad
there's
thing?
so many different versions,
Yeah.
which is cool. Like, I mean, I'm into it, but I agree with you.
Regardless.
Like, fucking Andrew Garfield version, which I think is what you're talking about. I don't know if you're calling him Nickelodeon because he was on Nickelodeon, or because
Was he on Nickelodeon?
I don't know, or if you're saying that because like Nickelodeon's kind of a kids thing, and Garfield is also
What
kind
is
of a
his
kids
name?
thing. Andrew Garfield.
Andrew
Am I
Garfield.
correct?
You're correct.
Thank you. Which I like those ones the least. Definitely.
Agreed. I kind of threw them out the window in my
Gosh,
entire
he
argument.
looks like a fucking cartoon.
Yeah.
No, okay, this is the guy from Parks and Rec.
No, he's
No.
not. I promise you
You're
he's
tripping.
not.
He's not.
Who
He's
do you
not.
think he plays?
he's not
wait,
Adam
Type
Scott.
Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
Who do you think that you?
He thinks he's Adam Scott's character.
Oh no, that's not Adam Scott.
Oh, that's
That's
not.
not.
He looks
Adam
like him.
Scott,
Does he
wait.
not look like
He
him?
does.
Adam
in
Scott,
that
wait,
first
wait,
picture.
Tommy 18.
Wait,
That is
wait.
not Adam
Do you
Scott.
think he's John Ralphio?
Yeah.
No, he's not John Ralphio.
I would love it if he was John Ralphio. Though
That's
John
it.
Ralphio is Spider-Man.
That's
Oh my
it.
That's
god.
Ben Schwartz. No.
Okay, so
Now
he's in
that is
Social
so
Network.
much
I've
I
seen
see.
that.
You know who should have been Spider-Man
Hacksaw
when they did
Ridge.
the Tobey Maguire versions?
Who?
It should have been Topher
Terrible
Grace.
movie.
Topher Grace is a way better like
Yeah,
vibe as an
way.
actor. Like when he was in the third movie and he had to be like Brock, that was disappointing because he totally should have been Spider-Man. He's way better at like wisecracks. He was way more fun.
He's more of a
Spider-Man-
Spider-Man.
I feel like Spider-Man is not, and like he is a responsible character for sure because that's a whole like mythos to Spider-Man. But I don't think he's supposed to be an adult, boring, not fun Spider-Man, crushed with the weight of his responsibility. Like Spider-Man's a wisecracking, like fun. Like he's not Deadpool. He's not like obscene, but he's a jokester in a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair to say anything like should be for adults. Like I don't like that. Like when it comes to superheroes, because it's an innately like goofy kid like thing. Like
When I'm
Okay.
watching No Country for Old Men, I want to have some fucking scenes in there just for the kids, just for the kids.
that's not what I
Them
meant.
playing with Play-Doh. Anton
I think-
Chigurh comes in.
Wait
Is
a
it
minute.
Anton Chigurh?
I
fuck
see
it.
Jane's point in that.
No,
with
I'm
it
just fucking with
being
you. I don't
I know,
disagree.
I know.
Just-
like a superhero, I can understand that because I heard an 80-year-old man talking about it, and I also heard like 18-year-olds talking about it. Like it's not.
Well, I think there's a. I think anybody. So, like for example, was the South Park movie for me when I was in 5th grade? No. Did I enjoy it? And did it send a ripple effect? It's right around the corner. I moved it over there.
Thanks.
It's did it send a ripple effect in my life, and now I appreciate that series, and I think it's one of the greatest series of all time, and that was like the birthplace of it. Yeah.
That's interesting because I didn't start watching South Park until like 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. When I was like 16, so 5 years ago.
Yeah. But I mean I also saw Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man when I was a kid.
Do you like Spider-Man 2 and 3 with Tobey Maguire?
Yeah.
I disagree.
Because of the
At
series.
least with the third one.
disagree. I don't think you like it.
Wait, do you not like it because of him, or do you not like the whole series?
I don't like the series in
Okay.
general, but
Oh,
I
really?
I
I
think it has the best
Interesting.
arc.
That's definitely my favorite.
I have no appreciation for the third movie at all. I rewatched
Really?
it recently, and I thought it was atrocious. But
So give your points on that.
on the third movie,
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
what's-
what makes it atrocious?
That's the Doc Ock one, right?
No,
no,
Doc Ock is
that's,
2.
What's
that's
the third
the
one again?
Sandman
Oh,
and
Venom.
Venom.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm caught up.
So I
Sorry.
just had no. So you watch the first two movies, you like Peter Parker well enough. He's getting to be a real serious lad, though. It's kind of
What's going on,
it's
Tobes?
kind of lacking. I don't know. He just gets to a point. I know the whole thing is he's dark Peter Parker. He goes through his weird darkness and he does the Venom thing. But I hated
Well, is that
him.
his or is that Venom?
No, when he has the whatever you call it, when he's Black Spider-Man,
And that's Venom.
No,
Yeah.
Venom is when Brock has the
That's
the
right.
other
Yeah,
thing
you're
on
right.
him.
But
But isn't that Venom?
No, it came from an alien, so it has a whole backstory, which I like it when movies get really fucking deep in the backstory. But it's from an alien world, and it came in a meteor, so it just amplifies your own personal aggressive tendencies. But traditionally, the only Venom is Eddie Brock.
Okay, so but that alien species, which I was labeling as Venom, isn't that the thing that's giving Spider-Man the dark side.
Yes.
feeds on it and it amplifies it, but Spider-Man's already being all dark and moody and kind of like ultra serious.
Yeah.
Writing
I
his
think.
journal and shit.
And like, you
Yeah,
know,
I like that. I like that description.
and like Eddie Brock is like coming into the office all new and kind of like showing him up a little bit. He's wicked jealous that he's not like getting all the attention for good Spider-Man shots anymore. And he uses his Spider-Man powers to be a douche a little bit. And I don't like the way they treat the Sandman because I like the Sandman a lot, and I feel like they didn't emphasize him enough. And
There are a lot of villains in that one movie because doesn't also what's
it's like
the
Green
Hobgoblin.
Green
the
Goblin.
Hobgoblin.
It's Green Goblin's like son.
The Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
He
there's
comes.
3 different.
There's 3 villains. There's
Oh,
Venom.
shit,
There's
you're
Venom,
right.
Sandman, and
James
Hobgoblin.
Franco is like, oh my
James
god, my
Franco.
friend Peter Parker is Spider-Man who killed my dad. Like
Right. So, but he's also best friends, so it's like that. Ooh, are
and
we
like
gonna
he
be
tries
best
to
friends
steal
and team up,
MJ,
or are
and
we
it's
gonna-
just a weird
Enemy.
Right.
like
Oh, he cucks him.
watching
I
the
was trying to figure
movie
out who cucks
is
him.
goofy in a bad way for me.
James
Like
Franco.
I don't feel like it was executed well. I think it was kind of like those series of Spider-Man movies were made like in the middle of having like ultra serious Superman movies, like superhero movies, where like you thought you had to be like more gritty, and like
fucking
the
worst.
like Marvel coming out and like doing more like colorful, true to comic kind of characters. And so I feel like it's just kind of like a weird, like, it stands out.
Yeah.
I don't hate the first 2. I
Yeah.
hate the third one. And I think that the newest version, with where he's like in high school, and you know, you don't start with Uncle Ben's death, which is the origin story for Spider-Man. You don't start with the bite, which is the origin story for Spider-Man, which is in the first, like, the Tobey Maguire version.
Yeah.
It's
Trying
in
to
the
get a
first movie
chick
of
or
the-
something.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's always trying to. He's
the,
always
the new
led around by his
Spider-Man
dick.
like starts like he's already Spider-Man. He's not well established yet, but he's already Spider-Man. Like his uncle's already dead. Like that's
Well,
already
that sucks for
happened.
the newer generation too that don't know the whole backstory that we've grown up with.
I don't disagree, but his point was like like superheroes and the Spider-Man especially are always starting with the origin story.
Yeah.
They kind of skip the prologue of the origin story, and they're exploring the version of Peter Parker where he is like a high school student. Like he's a normal kid. He's got these powers, and you know he knows he should do something. He's figuring out what he should do, and so he's not like obsessed with like the MJ character as much as I feel like MJ was a central like plot point in the first iteration of the Spider-Man movies, which
Does
I thought
Emma
was
Stone
more.
have red hair? And then
No, she's
She's
blonde.
Gwen Stacy, baby.
She's Gwen Stacy.
Spider-Man's
Sorry, I'm not walking
sexier
away. I
girlfriend.
just gotta get my charger to keep the computer on.
I mean,
Doesn't he? Isn't like there are definitely some versions? I know there's some versions of Spider-Man where he marries Mary Jane, but I think there's some also too where he marries and divorces both Gwen Stacy
And Mary Jane? I think so.
I know he gets divorced from Mary Jane in like the main story. I think I could be wrong on that. No,
No.
they're gonna tear us apart on a subreddit, you guys. They're gonna talk all sorts of shit. I'm telling you,
We didn't
this
fact
subreddit
check
are,
it.
they're brutal to me, you guys. They make fun of me.
Well, I mean,
Shane
okay.
Nipples?
Yeah, Shane Nipples especially. I don't
Yeah,
know if
Shane
he
Nipples,
is Shane
yeah.
Nipples, one of our 2 subscribers, but I think the coincidence is there that his Reddit username is you dash Shane Nipples. You know, I feel like that's not just a coincidence.
Well, okay, so I'll relent on the origin story thing because I do now remember that because I did see I've seen the newer Spider-Man one, but gosh, like, and I think like what you said when you said they skipped the death of Ben and they like
They
that's
skipped the bite.
yeah, like the thing is like I think what makes ultimately like all your points about like why did this have to happen, why did this have to happen is like I think the overarching arc of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man series is ultimately tied to that beginning of the line with great power comes great responsibility, and ultimately like, you know, at the beginning, like in the first movie, he is wisecracking and he's jumping around and he's doing that.
He's more positive.
Yeah, and then the second movie stuff is weighing on him, And then the redeeming aspect of that movie is when, and that's what gets me about the second one, is when he's taking off his mask all the time, is that it takes away from the impact of when his mask does get taken away from him, and the people of the city see him and they realize we've been putting all this pressure on this
boy,
this 20-year-old kid.
He's like a very young man.
They're on the
He's
subway.
not Spider-Man. He's Spider 20-something.
Yeah.
You know, this is fucking terrible.
Like, the guy on the subway, he points at him, he goes, "You're no older than my son is." Like, in like, it's that moment where you're just like, oh my gosh, like that responsibility, like, because he has this power and he has to do this, but like there's a lot of weight on him. And then you get in the third movie and like it's just the redeeming quality of the people is like going away, like, and so like the people aren't putting their trust in him as much, and so he does want to kind of like flaunt his power, because he's like I should be recognized for this. Like, you guys don't understand how much like pressure I put on.
And he's still a young man who like he's not fully mature adult yet. Like, I get, and like having you break down the main points of the story makes me appreciate it more. I don't like the writing.
Yeah,
I think it's a big problem, especially in the third one. I think the first one as a standalone is great. Like, awesome way to introduce people to Spider-Man, because it has the origin story and everything. And like, I think Tobey Maguire does a really good job in that first one. But in this third one, the third one made me hate his acting, and it made me wish that Topher Grace had been Spider-Man the whole time, because I just thought he had from Eric in that 70s show, has like a more Spider-Man vibe in that show than I think Tobey Maguire has overall.
Yeah. And I totally think that's fair, saying the writing is shitty. And in the third one, like, Tobey Maguire could never play a bad guy. It's like in BoJack Horseman when Mr. Peanut Butter tries to be like the mean guy or whatever, and just doesn't fucking work.
Wait, who are we talking about? Topher?
Tobey Maguire and Topher
Grace plays Eddie Brock in the third one, but he's like Eric Foreman from that 70s show.
Okay.
And I think Topher Grace would have made a better Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire.
I don't agree. In the first two, fine. In the third one, I get it. He can't play a tough guy. But in the first two, like, I think of any of the serious superhero movies, the Spider-Man movies are definitely. Obviously, not even close to like The Dark Knight as like the best serious.
So that's like a noir movie.
Yeah, like that's like, but like as far as like the directing and the fucking film, and the characters of each of those movies, like. I don't think any two series got it any better. There's really no two series worth really anything other than the fucking Batman and the Spider-Man rather. But I think the Spider-Man movies, I think more to Austin's point, like, they are really well made movies as standalone movies. I understand that the writing, it could be lackluster or whatever, but I think just it's redeemed by the fucking directing and the acting of Tobey Maguire. Like, I feel like he really makes it personable, and at least as a kid, I thought that initially, but I think upon returning to the Spider-Man movies, I think they hold up. I think they're good. Yeah,
this is making me want to rewatch this so bad, but like I've seen the other ones once, and I saw them more recently, and like I remember them, and maybe this is just me, like, and I said at the beginning, like, I went to go see those movies with my dad up until the third one. I watched it with my dad, so there's some nostalgia bias in that, and so I should go back and watch those on my own, but I watched the second series on my own, and I was just like, spitting at my computer screen during the first one.
Well,
like
that guy's version was not anyone's real version.
I mean, look at him. His head looks like a
it's
fucking light bulb. Like, what are we...
A light bulb?
It's really between the earliest version of the movies and the most recent version of the movies. Like,
so what's the most recent version of the movies?
The ones with the little, like the Marvel connected.
Has he had his solo?
Two solo ones,
got
but I
one
haven't
coming
seen
up.
either one.
He's got his own Spider-Man Homecoming is the solo Spider-Man movie. If you haven't seen it, oh my god, you should.
I thought he had another Spider-Man.
He was in Infinity War.
I've seen him in Civil War and Infinity War.
He's got another one coming up.
But I haven't seen, I thought he had one standalone already.
Homecoming.
Oh,
and then there's another one. Homecoming's out, which is the standalone Spider-Man movie.
I don't feel that bad.
In between Civil War and Infinity War, there was like the Spider-Man Homecoming. And then
Okay.
there's gonna be another one coming up soon, which, like, you know,
Is this the one where he's with
Far
Iron
From
Man?
Home or whatever.
Yeah.
He's with Iron Man in this one. He fights. The
No,
Hawk
he was
guy.
in Fireman.
yeah, he
with
fights.
Iron Man
His name is like the Vulture or something. Yeah.
and like fucking.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't even know about
Civil
this
War.
third series.
This is the one that I prefer because it focuses more on like what you appreciate about the first story's arc, about him like having all this responsibility weighing on him, but he is much younger. Like, he is a sophomore in high school. He's really smart and
Yeah,
he's
he's
got
like a
these
fucking
powers,
kid,
but
though.
he is a boy. Like, he
Yeah.
is taking on a lot of
Spider
responsibility
boy.
that he is not ready for. But he has to, in his mind at least.
Okay, so I don't know why I didn't even know about this.
Dude, this
series.
is like when I saw this movie, it made me so happy because like somebody did it right. Like, it got done. Like, this is perfect.
Somebody did it right.
Like, he is
When
my
did this
Spider-Man.
movie come out?
Like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Well, if I only
So-
had this
But I'd like to-
channel
I-
Stars Kids, I could watch it tomorrow at
I-
11:30.
Fucking kids movie.
Do you work tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night?
Yeah. I'll bring you my copy of it. Like, I will loan it to you. Because
But yeah,
I'm obsessed with this movie.
They couldn't have made another serious Spider-Man, you know?
Like an adult Spider-Man?
Yeah, like well,
They could have
couldn't
done
do
it better than the Andrew Garfield version.
They could,
didn't
yeah,
try that
right.
hard.
Because
They
Andrew
didn't try that
Garfield
hard.
wasn't like. I feel like this is a full blown like fun as fuck, like levity Marvel, nailing it with wisecracks, but
Yeah.
still keeping it with like a fucking
There's like a
coherent
dramatic element to
storyline.
it too.
It's
yeah.
really like pinned up. Like that's what I find really fascinating about all the Marvel movies is that they all have different directors and shit, but like. So I don't know what's going on with their fucking production team because they just fucking nail it. Like every single one of their movies, at the very minimum, is watchable and good. You know, you can't say, "Wow, that was The fucking Room." That was one of the
The
worst
Room?
movies I've ever seen. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I've
Like you'll never be
seen
like,
it. Yeah.
"That is comically bad."
Oh.
Like
Oh,
you'll
yeah,
never
yeah,
see that.
yeah.
But like.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yes!
Yeah.
That was a
God damn it.
terrible because that movie's actually fucking awesome.
It's
but
movie
funny.
that was a
ever,
really
honest
stupid
to
comparison.
God.
But you know what I mean? Like it's never like, oh man, that Marvel movie fucking sucked. Like they just keep
They
it
never
so
butcher
buttoned
their
up and
characters because
tighten
they
it up.
love
And
their characters.
It's-
They love
yeah.
their like main story, like the.
yeah,
Is there another superhero character, not just in the Marvel universe, but that could, as a character in backstory, pull off the like the Dark Knight vibe of a series?
I mean, there's plenty. I mean, there's already like Watchmen, you know, which is like fucking dark as shit.
The comic
like,
was really good, but I think the movie was.
I never even saw it.
It should have been a multi-part, like a series
it's
of movies. It was
Justin's
just-
favorite movie.
Really?
I mean, not like number one, but he loves it.
Shout
Like,
out to
Justin Garrett,
Yeah.
one of our fucking listeners.
Subscribers, yeah.
like and subscribe.
He's like a part of the podcast now. because
Yeah.
he's one of
It's
the
like
first
Justin-
two
Justin's just
we
here
only
with
said
us.
his name like 20
I know,
times.
dude.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I led him to my YouTube page and then hit subscribe with my own finger. Like
Yeah, no.
that's weird. I wouldn't double my subscribers with that. That'd be strange.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Uh,
No,
no.
he actually found it all on his own. Like even Google didn't even help with like suggested ads and shit. Like
What,
they didn't
Watchmen?
even know that. Yeah, no, following the page. He didn't even know that you guys were like within the same building.
I didn't
Google.
make Watchmen. I'm talking about like my podcast.
Are you not? Are you not a direct? Who the fuck are you? Why are you in my house?
I don't know. I'm just doing a Seiko and Annalise. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
who Seiko Annalise is, but I heard she had an IED in her arm.
Annalise. Oh, jeez.
Well, Seiko Annalise, I hope, Seiko Annalise, I hope, anal release. I hope that this IED,
This just proves that anybody can host a show. You just gotta find the notes underneath the pineapple,
Yeah.
and then you just start talking. That's all you
well,
gotta do.
the notes are going to get me through all this. I do have a note that, Janie right here wanted to talk about, a fear, festival. A fear festival.
I haven't seen
Fire-
Fear Factor in a long
Yeah,
time.
Fire
wait,
Festival.
Oh, yeah, wait,
Oh,
there's
Fire
a second
Festival.
Fire Festival documentary.
No, there's two.
What's up with that?
There's
I
one on
watched in
Netflix.
Netflix.
What's up with that?
What's up with this? What's
What
up with that? There's one on Hulu also, and the Netflix one is kind of more of like the general, like all the logistics that went wrong, like all of the actual
That one's good.
misplanning and missteps taken to making the
Yeah, they
festival.
fucked up
The
real bad.
Hulu one is more about Bailey McFarland himself and what a sociopath he is, and they interviewed him.
Cool, I
They
love
talk to him,
sociopaths.
like
Okay,
the
wait.
Netflix one where you never hear him speak about the festival or
He
whatever.
doesn't speak at all, other
No.
than like on the phone.
You just
screaming
see
at
him and
people.
you're like, he looks like a douchebag. I would
Yeah.
know. Like, yeah, you know. No, the Hulu one is really great because they talk to him and they ask him hard questions. Like they talk to him and he like
Nice.
refuses to answer some questions.
Is
and
it
that
like
makes
when
me go,
he's like,
you're guilty.
well, in the Netflix one, they have him like walking away and stuff while, in like New York City, while he's like has all the media around him and shit, and he won't answer any of the questions. Is
Right.
it like that with the Hulu one?
So
but like they
he's-
have interviews with
He
him, and
answers
he's
some
just
questions.
like, nah.
No, it's like Hulu is interviewing him
Oh,
for the
fuck
documentary.
yes, I'm
yeah.
so excited.
And he
about
comes and he
this.
sits in this room and it's like a dark brick wall. You know, like there's like more shadowy lighting. Like
This
it's not
makes
right.
him feel awful about
He
himself
walks in,
as
he's
a
like,
human
oh, it's
being.
nice and ominous in here. Like
Yeah.
he knows he's getting kind of like interviewed and
Because
gonna be
fuck
in a
you,
negative
dude.
light. But like he tries to put his own spin on it, and when he can't put his own spin on it, he's like, I can't comment on that. And it's like, you can't. You really can't.
You just don't
Like,
want to make yourself
I know
look
there's
bad.
some legal things where you're like advised by your lawyer, like don't say that, and like whatever. But they would ask him like very straightforward questions. They would be like, so Ja Rule like he was involved in like the decision making, right?
Right.
And he'd be like, like Ja Rule was there, and they're like, that's not what we asked. Like he's like, Ja Rule was there.
Yeah, that's all he has
Like
to
he
say
doesn't
about
answer
it.
the question or he refuses
What?
to answer the question. And look at him, he's a fuck.
Yeah,
Who
now
like-
he
Look
was-
how white
Charmed.
his teeth looks.
he was the
like,
most
like,
fascinating character in that whole fucking documentary.
Who is just
It was
like,
such a
wow, I
weirdo.
will buy a Magnesis card. Like, dope. Like, that's so silly.
Red, like, what the fuck is magnesis? By the way, whoever heard of that bullshit?
Yeah, but
just
like,
wanted a
but look at
black
all these
card.
people though. They look like they're having fun.
Oh, and apparently in like the Hulu
Except
one,
that was where they lived for the entire festival.
Like, look at
I'm
this
like,
guy.
oh, no,
He's-
one guy.
yeah, right.
He's on one of those mini water bikes.
This is during the shooting of the film.
apparently
There was a
when
shooting at it.
No.
No.
Yeah,
Like-
killed 300 people. The
Oh,
entirety
shit.
of who went to the island.
just all the Bahamas, really.
Just-
The
it
biggest
was
mass
really
shooting
just a
ever.
way- Yeah,
that
it was
wasn't
a way
US,
to
so I
mass
didn't
shoot
care.
all the people who could afford $800,000 tickets
Dude, they
to
spent
their
like,
island.
so much money.
fucking
So you
money.
almost don't feel bad for him, but like they were like trapped
I
at the
mean,
airport
you
for like a
don't,
long time.
But like, I feel bad in the like humanistic sense
Sure,
where I'm
but
like,
it's like-
alright, I understand that, but like, you
some
have
people
enough
quit their
fucking money
jobs.
to get.
Some people quit their jobs and
Really?
sold their homes because their bosses, like with the jobs thing, like their bosses wouldn't give them time off to
Alright,
like.
well, fuck that. I would never do that
That's
for a music
stupid. I wouldn't
festival.
either.
Like,
But my favorite part of the whole Hulu one was like the filmmaker that did like the ad where the models are running on the beach and like
Yeah.
the pigs are swimming and the guys are in jet skis.
Yeah, yeah.
Was like they went to like
their
the
whole thing
island
that gave
with
them any kind of.
any credibility at all. That's the only credibility they ever had.
It's the only thing they ever
Was
posted.
boobs.
Yeah.
The literal
Other
only
than
thing they
orange
ever
bricks
posted.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
All you
But like
need
they
is
went to
boobs.
the titties and
That's it.
pigs.
And
Yeah,
you could sell
titties and
any
pigs.
fucking
Well, when they
things.
went to the island to film the part with the pigs, like it looks really cute in the video, but the guy that made the video was like, yeah, pigs fucking bite. So all these models are getting bit and running
Yeah,
back into the
yeah.
boat. Billy got bit in the balls, like he fell down, and I was like,
There's-
that's hilarious. Like, why?
Wait, a billy goat got bit in the balls?
No, the Billy
Billy.
McFarland.
Oh, the guy.
Yeah, the dude.
got bit by the pig.
Billy
Yeah.
got bit.
And
Oh.
they're big pigs, like they're not like.
Wait,
Pigs are
I'm
fucking
confused
huge,
about
they
these
used to
pigs.
have one.
Why would he choose the pigs?
Because
Like,
there's
what-
it's
so many
like,
pigs
oh my
and
God,
they're
you can
cute. And
swim
like
with the
pigs
pig.
are really cute, but they're really
also,
fucking mean because they're smart.
They told him specifically. This is what I think. They specifically told him not to fuck with the pigs and to not shoot with the pigs and not bring the models around the pigs, like the people who own the island and shit. So of course he's gonna go fuck with the pigs. Like he's a pure fucking
He's like, "These pigs
sociopath.
swim?"
Like he just does whatever the fuck he feels like and like just doesn't really care about repercussions. And literally, he never owned up to this bullshitting people about the festival thing.
He immediately started
Even-
selling tickets to the Met after he got released on bail,
He
which you
literally
can't
got
buy
released-
tickets for. You have to
It's-
be pre-approved to go to the Met beforehand. There's never been a ticket for the
Right?
Met or the Victoria's Secret fashion show. He just like had a guy with like a different name that worked for him, like called people to like the mailing list for Fire Festival. They were selling these guys like tickets to events that were not real, that they did not have. Like sold it. Like he was like, I have 200 tickets to Hamilton. It's like that's impossible. Like you don't have those. the Met, the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and just had this other guy's
Or when he
name
was
on it,
selling
but it
all
was
that
him.
bullshit
Yeah.
afterwards.
And like,
Yes.
you hear
dude.
like another documentary I watched this week, the Ted Bundy tapes one.
The
And
Met
it's like
Gala,
fucking
sorry.
Ted Bundy got off on bail or whatever, you know, and immediately went and killed 4 sorority girls.
I have
like,
a problem.
They
it's the
didn't
same
show
fucking
that- they
thing.
didn't-
I have a problem with that documentary.
What's your problem?
I mean, we both listened to the same podcast critiquing it today, so I already know what your critiques are. But
Yeah.
let's hear about it, Lou.
From last podcast on the left, referencing Marcus Parks and his opinion, which I happen to agree with, the fucking Ted Bundy tapes didn't include any details about all
That's
the
what my
bullshit
mother
that
said.
he did. Go find the Bundy episodes. There's like a 3-part series on the last podcast on the left. Dude, they go into explicit details on what the fuck Ted
I
Bundy
don't
did.
know why they're trying to make Ted Bundy more palatable
No.
for the public. Like,
Well, okay, the Zac Efron
He's
movie.
the best.
Yo,
fucking
the Zac
serial killer,
Efron
and, like,
movie is considered a rom-com, pretty much, because they have a romantic
We don't want to make
storyline
Ted
and
Bundy
it's comedy
cutesy and shit.
drama.
Like, he fucking cut
No.
women's heads off and fucked them for days and fucking
Three
raped
one
Wait,
people.
was
and,
Zac
like,
Efron played a serial killer?
Dude,
No, he
they
is
look
in the
alike.
one coming
it's an
out.
upcoming movie.
But like the one that they have with him coming out is gonna be a total like bullshit, like
if it's
romantic.
like a dark comedy,
It's about his
Yeah.
wife who like
No,
ended up
fuck it. I'm
marrying
not
him
watching
after he
comedy
was
about
going
Ted
through
Bundy.
the trials and stuff. Like it's so fucked up. And his eyes are uneven, which Marcus pointed out. Did you go back? Go
Yeah,
pull
no,
up
I
a picture
listened
of
to
Ted Bundy. Look
Where?
how uneven. Go to his eyeballs.
I
This
saw
one?
somebody was like, if you're gonna be obsessed
Yeah,
with somebody
that's
that
fine.
murdered
This
other
one's good.
people that were hot, like
See how much higher this one
oh,
is
what's
than
his
that
name?
one?
The
Do
Italian
you see how
dictator,
uneven his
fascist,
face is? It's all slanted upwards
Why
a
not?
little bit.
Mussolini. They were like, go be hard for Mussolini if you want to be hard for like a weird murderer dude because he killed
Yeah.
way more people and he's way better looking. Like,
Yeah.
Mussolini?
yeah.
I don't know.
Like
I think
young
Ted
Mussolini.
Bundy. I think
Glorify
Ted
these
Bundy's
people.
more attractive than Mussolini.
Austin, will you do me a
Shut up,
favor
we
and
don't
look
need to
up
talk
young,
about Ted Bundy's
young
attractiveness.
Mussolini?
Like, that's feeding into the whole
Yeah.
fucking
So
thing.
look at Ted
All
Bundy.
right, you're right. I
You
think
know,
it
You
is.
like,
see him,
you're
you
just-
see his
you're doing
gross
it.
eyebrow, you see his weird face.
He did need to get a good wax right there. This is the card
See,
that
this
he
is
needs.
what we're
He
doing
needs to
the
go
thing
see
we're talking
Heather
about.
Dangerfield, the serologist at
Lou,
Waxing
she
the
needs
City.
to pay for an ad on this podcast
No.
if she wants us to plug her. Or she
you.
needs to come on and answer us about our hair questions.
I
No.
have
Okay.
several.
Wait, who are you talking about?
This
Oh,
one.
don't put that up. She needs to pay for the
That's what I'm
pay
saying.
for the ad.
Sorry, from
Click on that third picture.
This one?
Yeah. Look at him.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I
fuck him.
still think
Even if you don't
Bundy
think he's
is
hot,
hotter.
he's immediately way hotter than Ted Bundy.
I don't know because his mouth does this weird thing that when I try to draw people's faces, the mouths are always bigger than they should be. He's just look at another one. That one's better.
Dude, come on.
See, his face is
he's a
more.
stud.
Babe.
Look at that guy.
Bangable
He's
right
definitely.
there.
I mean, yeah, but he's more proportionate in that one than the other one.
Like, dude, let's get it. Like,
Yes.
come on. Like, that's just like a
Jeez.
fuck me face right there. That guy's just like, yeah.
Is that his O face?
Like, take out that IED out your arm so we can get into this baby making process. Like,
If there are any Italian listeners listening whose parents were crushed by the fascist government of Benito Mussolini, I really am, we're really sorry about it, but, he's hot. You know, what were we going to say?
He's
We're going to be
hot.
unapologetic about it.
All right,
Not
see.
to bring it back to Fire Festival, but
Oh, let's bring it back.
When
This
they
has
were-
all just been a very long fucking...
It's a tangent.
When they
wait, so
were
is
like-
this like the girl
Digression.
who hooked up with Mussolini?
Yeah.
Is this
That's
okay?
Go ahead,
That's
Jane. We don't need to be
Mussolini's
looking at
third
this lady.
wife.
Sorry. I don't even, I'm going to transition back into other faces.
but like when they were like advertising that they were gonna be on Pablo Escobar's old island, which they did not do. That was not where the island
They got
was.
kicked off immediately.
Yeah.
They said, don't tell anybody.
So many people messaged like the guy that was in charge of social media and like making the video or posting it or whatever that were like, hey, that happened really recently. Like my parents were murdered by Pablo Escobar. So like, why the fuck are you trying to hold a festival
Yeah.
here? And he was like, like I don't know what to say.
Like
what do you
Escobar's
say?
family too was like, I don't want anything to do with this. This is not us. We're not doing
No
anything
one
like
wants
that.
that
No one gave
advertised.
him any access to this island. He's bullshitting
Well,
everything.
Yeah, because why
I
are they
was like,
trying to...
it's
It's
not
not made out of
festival.
cocaine.
Well,
Like the
yeah.
island's not.
The
a-
sand
you
is
snort
not
the
cocaine.
sand.
I'm
Can you
sorry.
imagine just all these millennials like as soon as they land?
I read this on the internet.
Yeah, I could imagine that. And that's the bad part.
I mean, I hadn't heard that, but I just feel... I don't know. That kind of sucks, because really you're just ruining the Escobar name at that point.
Right. It's really ruining it.
You know, they just need to rebrand a little bit.
People
Yeah.
And the
class.
Escobar name is going to be in really high regard again, really
They're
soon
gonna
in
just pick up on the
Colombia.
Goodbye Fresh wave, and they'll get Escobar's
Yeah.
Goodbye Fresh. It'll be fine.
Hello, my name is Pablo Escobar Jr., and I'm here with Goodbye Fresh. I do not condone what my father did, but I do condone these fresh veggies I get for
Kinda
low price.
fresh.
Kind of fresh. Their return from Millennial House that thought they were going to eat much more salad this week, but gave up on that pretty quick. I'm Pablo Escobar Jr., and I approve this message.
No, you sound like right
We
now.
are also sponsored by Pabst Blue Ribbon. The crisp taste, as well as the Escobar. It's not a PBR. Jamie goes,
Red Bull.
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
The one
Shit.
candy
Blue.
It's
Blue.
in color scheme.
Oh yeah, blue.
It's in
You're
color
right.
scheme.
And a pineapple. We are always sponsored by the Pineapple family, which their parent company is Pine Trees.
Will you look up and see if anyone's name is actually something pineapple?
Something
I
pineapple?
mean, not, you know what I mean.
I don't think any mother
Like
would never
Deborah
try
Pineapple.
something.
No, I get like, are we ruining a family? Like,
Are we ruining it?
Are we doing what the Fire Festival did to the Escobar?
I thought an ambulance was coming down the street there for a second while Janie was going, are we?
Are you doing
Sorry, that was a long time. I was pausing like, is she doing a bit right
She's
now?
doing like an Italian fascist ambulance bit. You're like, that's what an Italian fascist ambulance would sound like?
Why does it have to be fascist?
Because we were just talking about Benito Mussolini.
He's
What
making
do you
a
call
call
that?
back.
I forgot about
because
this.
capitalist countries go wee woo wee woo, and then
What do fascist countries do, Jamie?
Are we-
Lay it on us.
that's what it is.
Socialist, communist, they have different signs as well.
I'm sure.
Or do they just pick?
They're kind of the same thing.
They just kind of throw a dart.
Wow, I'm learning so much about pineapples right now.
What are you learning
That's my
about
safe
pineapple?
word.
Give us good.
Well, I mean,
good
there's
your
three
safe
pineapple
word.
Okay,
facts.
I'll give you some pineapple facts.
All right.
I mean, this is a
Pineapple
pretty
thing's
common
making more
one, but
sense.
if you ingest a lot of pineapple juice, your bodily fluids smell better and even taste better. I don't know what that would be used for, but I've heard that.
Interesting.
Vampires.
topic. Yeah.
Yeah, vampires.
There you go. The blood,
Got
pineapples, it'll be sweet.
Yeah.
Got it.
You got it, babe. Yeah.
So, people post a certain fruit that corresponds with different relationship statuses. Blueberry means you're single. Cherries mean you're in a relationship. That doesn't make sense. I feel like that should be the.
Because there's two on a stem, like in most depictions.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Wait,
what
wait.
other
You're
reference to
That's
cherries?
good.
What other reference to cherries is
Any
sexual?
sense.
It's cute.
Pop your cherry.
What?
So wouldn't that mean?
Cherries coming too.
This is
Oh,
because
yeah, you
you
would be-
also
okay,
read
never mind.
horoscopes.
I saw that backwards. I
Takes
saw
two
that.
to tango.
No.
Yeah, it takes two to pop a cherry. Well, no, I guess
It could take one.
it could take one. Okay, I'm wrong.
We're talking
I'm just saying a
Good.
bunch of statements that are wrong, so I'm just going to retract all that. But if your love life isn't quite so straightforward, you have another option. Pineapple means it's complicated.
Hey, that's like the bracelets.
Oh,
like, do you remember
shit.
those bracelets?
Oh,
you
the
used to
jelly
wear?
bracelets.
Yes.
It's like purple. I mean, like
You get
So
your
that's
balls,
how
your
the real
balls,
listeners
yeah,
of this
your
podcast
balls. You just.
will know
You
what
put- I
a
mean,
pineapple
suck your
is
dick
if
for
they're
eyeballs.
able to go back to episode 3
Yeah.
and go back to when
Yeah.
we Googled
what if they just like
is someone's name pineapple, and that
red,
reveals
blue,
the
yellow.
true essence of the
That's a
podcast.
whore.
So,
that
once I get out of this
You have to get
complicated
multicolored,
state in
'cause
my
so many
life.
girls have like their loopholes. Like
Oh yeah.
I'm not a slut.
It's two
I
different
only like
podcasts
balls.
going
Yeah.
on.
Like balls. That's fucking funny.
Missed out. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
apparently.
don't
All
know.
right, we gotta reunite this. We gotta reunite these two halves. This war of the sexes going on right now
It's a
between.
feminist podcast.
Hey,
I don't
This
know.
is a feminist podcast.
Yeah, and that's why I
wait.
really need y'all women to be quiet so we can talk about
Yeah.
this feminism.
Hey, ladies.
Listen, I know y'all don't understand this, so let me explain this. It's too far. All right, I'm gonna
I'm
throw
being
that
quiet.
joke away.
Let me, I'm gonna,
Shut up, and then they stop talking. cocky.
You know what I'm gonna explain to you guys? I'm gonna explain mansplaining.
Mm,
All right, that's
yeah.
what I'm gonna explain to you guys.
I'm gonna
today.
crush your glasses while they're on your face.
That's feminine.
I feel like
Yeah.
I
That's
like
some Mary
that.
Shelley shit.
Yeah.
Mary
Hashtag
Shelley.
feminism. Hashtag Frankenstein.
Yeah, I had to read that for my British British literature class.
So Mary Shelley is
So I won't
the
actually break your
Frankenstein,
glasses. Author.
the author.
Victor Frankenstein is the doctor.
So she wrote
So
the
they-
book
they-
about
She
feminism.
She wrote.
She is feminist
They don't
because
scissor
she
in the
did
book.
a
Frankenstein
competition
doesn't
with
scissor anyone.
a bunch
He's
of
complicated
romantic
human
writers.
being.
Can't hear anything. Sorry, I just multiple conversations. It's hard to. It all comes through one
Mary
stream. Sorry.
Shelley.
Yeah. Okay.
She wrote Frankenstein while in a competition with her husband and some other writer friends of theirs to
Okay.
see who could come up with the
Lord
best
Byron.
horror story. And she was the only woman that participated, and she won. And her husband was mad jealous of her talent because he was like, "Well, I'm the man, and I don't write as good as my wife." And then now we still watch Frankenstein.
Wow.
Although she has 3 different versions of it now.
Was she really?
Yeah, well, I mean, not now. She's dead for a long
Sure,
time
yeah.
being, but she had 3 different versions of it out when she was alive.
Wait. So they took them away once she died.
No.
There's only like one
still
now.
3 versions of it, but they're all
So you
different
get to keep
stories.
one.
No.
Just
She
one.
twisted it in different ways each
She had
time
different
that she went
endings?
back to it. Yeah, because like as she
Oh.
went through, like it's cool because the first one was through the Romantic period, the second one was through the Gothic period, and I don't know what the third one was through.
Very interesting.
So it's kind of like a Bandersnatch situation. You kind of get to
Oh.
choose
You get
your
3
own
different
path.
endings, but it's
Yeah.
all the same
Wow.
story.
Yeah.
I would
Clue,
love
the
to.
original Bandersnatch was. Did you guys ever watch the movie Clue?
Wait, no. Is
There's
that
a
based on
movie
the
based
board
on.
game. Yeah, dude, it's like an '80s movie and it's so good.
Is
Tim
it, like,
Curry is in it from
Good in like
Rocky
a campy
Horror.
kind of way, or like what?
I mean,
No,
I think-
it's a family movie.
I think
Oh.
like solidly good. Like,
Oh,
Not
really?
in the kinky way though.
No, I said campy.
Oh, I thought you said kinky. That's what
I was
no,
like,
it's a
I mean, I
family
guess
movie.
it's No, like
okay.
it's so good. Everyone does such a good job, and then they have 3 different endings at the end where they belong.
So
And-
do you get to choose what you go through?
No, it's kind of like they give you the first ending, and then they're like, "That's one of the things that could have happened, or this could have happened," and they show you the third ending, and all of the endings are like 5 to 10 minute scenes,
That's
like
cool.
of the different endings, and they're like, "And that was an interesting thing that could have happened too," but like, how about
Oh,
this
it has
one?
Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds. I'm in. We're
It
doing
does not
it.
have Ryan
What?
Reynolds in the original.
That is bullshit.
I'm confused
Clue
because this is
remake.
I
on
love
the
it.
internet and.
Janie, are you telling me these documents are false? What are you trying to tell me?
I would never
We have the
insinuate.
documents in front of
no,
you right now.
no.
in front of us.
I think
right?
you're lying.
No.
Mm.
And like the innuendos in this movie are great. Like everything is so good. It's a classic.
Oh, man.
It's so dope.
Damn,
It
it's a
is the
classic,
only-
huh?
Like you know how like a lot of like movies where they try to adapt like video games to movies don't turn out great.
Yeah, they're usually awful.
I mean, not that Clue is a video game. I know it's not, but this is one of a great
It's a
example
game,
of
though.
adapting a game for a movie. Like it was so.
Well, that's
awesome.
how I like the Bandersnatch because it does it with an '80s theme, as if that could been
Yeah.
like a real thing that happened in the '80s, which it could have been.
I'm gonna
I
need
don't
to
know,
have
I'm not
a,
there.
a limited series on Netflix, a Bandersnatch-like experience, if you will, with Frankenstein and Mary Shelley, and then it has like all the endings of Frankenstein, and then at the end they also just group in like a Mary Shelley like feminist documentary or something like that, so you'd like also get educated on
At
Mary
the end
Shelley.
of your
You know
hour
what
and a
I mean?
half movie, you get a 2
You
hour
get another
documentary.
2-hour documentary with fucking who's the British guy that does all the like
David Attenborough.
David Attenborough, just monotone, just fucking
Mary Shelley. Like,
or not
Was a
monotone, but I
feminist
guess
at the
just
time.
fucking
She
nailing
was,
it,
dude.
you know?
She had an polyamorous relationship.
I think that
She didn't fuck Lord Byron though, because I think
That's
Everyone
just
said
that's
she
just
did.
she just.
I think her
cocked
no. I think her husband fucked him.
Polyamorous.
Polyamorous. It's
you
not.
can only sleep with women named Polly or Polly.
Yeah.
or
Or
I don't think I could do that.
They fudge in Amber.
Or
That's like the
Katie.
second generation polyamorous. You know.
So you can fuck with people named Polly and people named Amber.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
I don't think I know.
Sometimes
that.
only
And if-
on the
And if you're with more than one person, you're like, hey, this is us. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like-
Oh shit.
So I just got that. That took me a second. That was
He's
good.
a thinker, right?
Wow. Got the deep one right here.
Fucking
beside
nailed
me.
it.
I mean, I don't necessarily want to call myself a modern day Kelly, but if you want
But-
to.
Wow.
Did you read that off my notes? That I got? Is that... No, it's not on my notes. I wish it was. I really want to get to this Seco ain't. No, go ahead. Yeah, if you want to write some notes, write some stuff down for my next podcast so I can remember.
Be prepared, you know.
Yeah. Quick plug, actually. My next podcast will be posted later tomorrow, but will start in my time, not in real YouTube time, but at 5 p.m. with a young guy named Logan Duval.
Oh my God! No shit.
Yeah, I've known
How is
Logan.
he?
He's doing good. He's actually
Wow.
he's preaching at a church.
Oh
so-
no way.
Yeah, and so it might be a little bit
It's
of
like
a
a
change of
Oscar
pace
speech
for the
and
podcast a little bit, but we'll be talking about that stuff.
That would be a good new perspective.
Yeah, we're gonna go to bat and see how that all pans out. He's a funny guy.
Wow. So you guys you're batting against each other.
He was
I
a
assume one of
clown.
you is pitching and one is catching.
Yeah.
One is a bottom and one is a top, if you will.
Yes.
If you will.
Well, it's gonna be about religion, so I'd be surprised if there wasn't something about that in
Yeah,
there.
say.
Oh,
There's
man, that
always
was
a
too
bottom and
easy.
a top with that kind of shit.
Yeah, he's not gonna be happy about that comment, but hopefully this podcast will get long enough to where it will be buried in the internet.
Great.
Uh,
That's great though.
Yeah, how long have we been going on this one anyway?
Solid 2
Um,
hours.
You know,
No,
I
we're at,
lost the rubber
only
band.
the real ones, such as.
I only started recording in the last 30 minutes, so we're only at 30 minutes. I'm hoping to get to 4 hours, so we
Good
really need to pick up the pace, guys. Not that time's gonna move faster,
Okay, anybody rubber band? It's clear.
Lou, it's an audio medium. All right. This
That's
is
not.
good
It's not for the
podcasting.
audience. I was
but I can
asking the
see it. You
participants.
know, right? You keep saying it's an audio medium.
I know, but like I feel like last time our visuals went out, but audio is always going to be there, and this is
Oh, no, no,
podcasts
this-
are primarily an
Okay,
audio kind of
well,
medium, so
My
I'm planning for
visuals,
it.
my visuals are intact.
William,
Yeah.
I lost your rubber band and it's gone forever and nothing is ever gonna happen again. That could
I
fix
didn't
it.
have a rubber band
You
on
did.
here.
It was around this.
All right, well I don't need one.
Okay, that's fine.
Got a
Solves
rubber
my
band
issues.
down. If Justin Garrett and Shane Nibbles
Could send a
can-
rubber band in.
Yeah, and that's what my Patreon account is all about. That's supporting this podcast.
And
Is
you're
just
such a corporate drone. Let me tell you what, you have ads all up and down your podcast.
yeah. I'm trying to get out of here and get a studio for this. And so if one of y'all can send in some as many rubber bands if you can. If you send in 5 rubber bands,
We could
I
probably
send you a
build.
pineapple. And if you
I feel like
send
we're losing money on that transaction.
No, I don't
I
know.
feel like we got to
No.
talk about this.
I'm
don't
actually
know.
sponsored by pineapples, so I get pineapples for free.
Oh shit!
Sponsored
And,
by
We
get free pineapples, too?
Fruit.
Yeah, it's
Why
Let me
have
just-
you not
let me-
You've been sharing the PBR with me, but
yeah. Let me just tell you, it's complicated. That's a callback to the pineapple. And then if you send in 15 rubber bands, we'll send you a fresh set of leaking logs.
so are
We don't want your money. If you're referring to rubber bands as stacks of currency, no.
That is not what I mean.
Take
do
your
not
money
pop
out.
bands.
Keep it in your pocket,
Well, don't-
or throw it
yeah.
in like a butt or whatever you're gonna do with it,
Mm.
and just send us rubber bands.
Yeah.
Throw it in a
Yeah.
butt.
Yeah,
I
the
think
butts
that's
are
what
good.
men do.
Okay, I'm just making sure
I
I
think
heard
that's
you
what happens
correctly.
with most money.
Is it
I think
transferred
so.
through butts?
That's why they tell you not to lick money, is because it's been in butts. Like, I don't.
Is that why you shouldn't lick money? That's the only reason why you shouldn't be licking
That's why
money.
TJ told me not to.
Of course,
So
TJ.
Tia said, "Don't lick money," and you
Like,
said,
you know,
"Why?"
Like cocaine and strippers, those dollars touch, and I was like,
No, because
Wait,
$2
so you
bills
did
go-
it after he told you that?
Halt.
I don't
$2
believe
bills.
This is what Mary
Go
Shelley
leave
would
everything
want.
the government, aka TJ.
I like how DJ is your
Government is
personification
TJ.
of the government. Fucking.
That's a bad government. That's not one that.
Oh, he just comes out of Chattanooga and befriends everybody.
Yeah.
Conspiracy.
Is he Ted
Dude,
Bundy?
that is super.
Is TJ Ted Bundy?
Yeah.
Junior, is that what the J is
We
for?
need to tell McClellan.
TBJ.
Wait, does that mean McClellan's fucking the government?
Yeah.
Does that mean that, McClellan's doing
No.
butt stuff with the government?
Yeah.
There you go. Ass fucking
Do they
government.
really?
You know, it is
I don't
weird.
know.
TJ
Why
was
is that
telling me
They
the
have a
other
whole
day.
ass thing going on.
No.
for
Okay,
it.
so
is that
so
something
To
literally,
sell, there's
okay.
an ass thing.
I'm being serious
I know.
with you. I'm being serious with you. Another quick plug because Janie brought it up. But on Saturday night, I actually am having TJ and McClellan come on the podcast,
Oh, hell
and
yeah.
they will be talking about the misrepresentation of butt play and how it's really being like played down.
I think
And-
it's accurately represented. Personally.
Yeah, I feel like it's really like it's being put at the bottom of the totem pole. You know, it's getting
it's
a lot
at
of
the bottom?
it's getting a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just hoping those two can just shake that off. You know,
I think you're
I'll-
brown nosing a little bit.
I feel like you're twerking my words, but regardless. I don't. I feel like every time I make a joke from my notes that I've been working on for a really long time, the podcast gets quiet.
No, that's because you nail it. You know?
Yeah, is that why? I need
You gotta
another
properly
pen.
air out jokes, you know.
Another pen.
I need 2 pens right now for all these notes I'm taking on these jokes that I'm flying.
You know what
off.
is weird though that you should ask TJ about next week is that he's had like 4 or 5 ex-girlfriends in the past like 3 years, and they've all been named McClellan, and they've all died in mysterious accidents. It's super weird. It's a super unique name too, right? Like
Yeah.
it's McClellan. You don't meet a lot of McClellans, but all like 5
He
of
did.
them.
He met them
have-
all.
And
Yeah,
he met all the McClellans, and they're all dead now.
Yeah.
How weird is that?
And he keeps referring to
Poor
himself
guy.
as a checks and balances system. I'm like, dude, like chill out. Like, I only know of one guy who's that, and his name's Uncle Sam. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He said he's the judge, jury, and executioner of just everyday interactions. I don't know what that means, you know, but I think he you know, I think he thinks highly of himself.
Yeah.
So what I'm
You know.
getting
Yeah.
is that he is the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, okay.
That's all.
That's what I'm
Maybe
thinking.
like
And he's out to murder
He's out
McClellan.
here.
Yeah.
All
And-
of them.
If
And-
I'm being clear.
And to all our viewers who don't know who TJ is, just to clarify, he's a local. Well, not really local. He moved
Foreigner.
here. He moved here
He's
from
a
Government
Chattanooga.
transplant.
To this state's government.
Yeah, and he
Where is
he moved here, and now he works as a table servant at a local flatbread restaurant. And to be honest, I think everybody in the town just thinks he's just kind of like a busted blueberry, you know.
What?
like you know when you're like going through a pint, like you're going through that little carton of blueberries, you want to eat the whole. You're not gonna pick up that like busted one at the bottom and eat that. That's getting thrown away with the container. You know, you're eating the whole blueberries. Like he just kind of seems like a busted blueberry to me.
I just want you to keep saying busted blueberry.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting you to be going to, like the story to go more like your inflection in your voice be like, damn, it's a busted blueberry.
So,
Like when you're
there
going
was
through
Shane
the
Nichols like,
blueberry.
What's a busted blueberry?
Yeah, exactly. That's some Shane shit. He just, that's a busted blueberry. Like it would be a term of endearment. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't think this was a kind of a throwaway kind of thing. You know.
Well, no, like I mean, you
You want to throw
you don't
TJ
you
away?
no, but you don't eat them. Like, would you rather me eat TJ?
I guess not.
Are you recording it?
What?
Eating TJ?
Recording eating TJ? Well, I'm hoping we get some demonstrations on the podcast.
I'm sure you
This
will.
coming.
I hope they either bring diagrams or videos or something to really help us get into the mind of
Wait, there's a
butt
perfectly
play
good-
professionados.
Alright, so
Well,
you
they've
need
told
to
me
put
they
a
have-
whiteboard against
Mm.
this wall
Yeah.
so they can draw out the illustrations
Yeah,
for the
plenty of
viewers.
brown
Yeah.
markers. Need
Yes,
all that.
all the brown markers.
Use some green ones too, just in case. You never know what's
I mean, you don't know what they're eating.
Sex
though.
is
You
an
never know what
adventure, and
someone's going
sometimes
through.
you go
Sometimes
into
it's
all
spicy
sorts
slice
of colors
the
on
day.
the palette.
Who knows? Oh, jeez.
Green
Morty.
markers. Is that for like, cause like TJ's eyes are green?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You nailed it.
Sure.
Alright.
I thought that was gonna be a subtle reference, but you just really needle haystack.
You gotta really know TJ's if you're gonna listen to this podcast.
I mean, when you're a host of a podcast, you gotta know these things about people and such.
Should we be brainstorming like titles for you that are pineapple related? You know, like because you are the leader of this podcast, you are the central figure.
Pineapple priest.
Like on
the pineapple pope.
Like on Harmontown, you got
I'm
the
not
fucking
gonna
mayor.
religious,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the pineapple.
Right. So
Wait, you can
You
just
guys
get a
get it.
shut side and put a
you
pineapple?
ran away with it.
My sister is a second grade teacher. I'm sure she can print out a giant pineapple to
sister's a
put on a
second grade
shove
teacher.
side.
Yeah, but
I
she
know how to
hasn't
do
gone to
all
a
those kind of
gynecologist
things.
yet, so I don't know if I feel comfortable with.
What if we talk to her? We've
Her-
been
Yeah.
checked out. We've been okayed.
Well,
If
I'm
she-
going in
if she-
March and she has an
We're
appointment with.
clean.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
Our
going in
expiration
March
date
and
is
she has an
TBD.
appointment with me in March.
Okay, when she goes to the gynecologist, I'll
We'll
think
talk.
about.
Well, you know, I
Maybe.
can do this. I'm an artist. I can draw a pineapple.
We just need her printer, really.
Yeah, I got a
But would that
printer.
complicate
I
your
got
upcoming?
I got a
We don't
what
need
are those
shit.
things called? Not latex, but you put the plastic around the paper.
Laminate
Laminate.
folders.
Yeah. Laminate.
Dude, have you ever laminated
She is a-
before?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's better than sex. Like, I love it.
It's
Wait, what?
warm and it's cozy.
Write
and
that
when
down
it
for
comes
me.
out, it's
You're
so
like,
nice.
I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Like, it feels so
Yes.
good to laminate
Except for when you do
something.
it in a second.
Janie, I'm gonna be honest with you. We might want to talk about what you're doing in bed.
Laminating dicks. What does it sound like?
Maybe me and.
I'm just, fresh sealing that primo meat. I'm just
Oh
laminating.
my god. Have you ever used one of those, one of the food sealers before?
You mean a condom? Yeah.
Wait, you used a condom?
Only
Wait.
once.
And your
Oh,
meat.
thank
So you
God.
don't need
Oh.
sound effects. So you can
Yeah,
do
you need a soundboard
the drum.
that I can control on every episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the
Yeah,
only
dude.
sound.
I just need an air horn. Yeah.
Coach Steve
Just
drumming
an air horn?
entire podcast. Yeah.
I fucking
Coach
nail it.
Steve's whistle and that.
What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah.
It's just like, pew, pew, pew.
But not like buying the sounds, like you say the sounds.
Yeah.
it's me doing all
man
the.
made sounds by
It's so
us.
like somebody comes on and tell like a really personal story. They're like really broken up about it. You know, it's very impactful, like great podcast material and shit. And then I sit in and it's just a recording of me going, oh, like it's like.
Like you
Like-
don't say it, you're like this, so
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah,
knows it didn't come from your
right.
mouth.
Oh. I'm like, it's the audience. It's like, you know,
but
in
it's
a-
obviously me.
Yeah.
And the funny thing
It wouldn't
was,
be me.
is we actually almost had an audience tonight for our podcast.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm being dead
I
serious.
don't like that at all.
No, because McClellan wanted to come on, but she had already scheduled her podcast about the butt stuff that she does. So
Really? Are you? Is that a joke, or does she really?
what?
No, really, her and TJ like safety scissor butthole like scissor each other.
Stop it.
Stop it.
I don't know. That's Austin's joke. I've been telling.
If
it all
anybody
week.
doesn't know McClellan, I just want to introduce McClellan real quick. She is a local, quite the sports
Local as
fan.
fuck.
Yeah, and she knows all of us. I'll have her on here soon. But she is a behind the scenes gynecologist, which basically means she works on the other side. And that's just, I think that's drifted into her personal life. And so her and TJ have started a date. So, I mean, you can kind of say she's one of those girls who eats the busted grape at the bottom of the container. It was a blueberry.
It was definitely
It was a
blueberry.
blueberry.
We don't have grapes at the 450.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut that part right
Yeah.
there.
Here, let's just do take two.
Yeah,
Just-
take two.
Let's start the whole podcast over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
You
Alright,
guys remember
fuck
what
it.
he said? Let's go.
And go.
Okay,
All right.
this podcast is sponsored by Pabst
Will.
Blue Ribbon.
I'm not Billy.
This is Janie and Lucy.
And Bill.
I'm not Billy.
Dude, I told Charlie that we should Charlie is Will's little brother.
Speaking of Charlie,
Dude, we mentioned him on the previous podcast.
yeah,
he's
he goes
our
everywhere.
he's our
When there's a
heavyweight
whiteboard,
friend.
There's a fat Charlie.
Yeah, we did mention him on the past podcast. He's an overweight friend that we have.
We're hoping he doesn't have diabetes. He's like really getting up
Hey,
there.
I had a
I
lot
thought
of
he was
shit to
holding
bring
scissors.
Charlie.
Diabetes. I'm
No,
hoping.
but I heard scissor. What was it?
Safety
scissors.
scissors.
Yeah.
Safety scissors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I mean,
the
but
other day.
Can you break it down for us, Ons?
Well, I'm just saying, like, diabetes is one thing. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure he has that at this point.
Charlie.
I'm more worried about like the second floor at like your house. Like I'm more worried about like the foundation of the house. I'm more worried about the stairs that are having to like go through that, or like a couch or a chair, or like the axles on his car. Like that's the point where I'm at, where it's just like I've started to become like maybe like a hyper Buddhist, where like I no longer just care about living things, but I'm starting to care about like inanimate objects. And like maybe it was just like my destiny that like Charlie would gain this weight, like a Buddha, so that I could appreciate inanimate objects for having to bear such a burden. Yeah.
Because really, when you do see Charlie, you think, God, what a burden. You know, just on the spatial plane around him, he's just burdening the structures of houses
and like space
emotionally,
and time.
people. You know, he's burdened with his overweight. It's because he is overweight.
Yeah, and I mean, it's almost coming to a point where like you're pulled to him in like a way that's not healthy. Mainly because it's like a gravitational pull.
Right. I was going to say, I find myself oftentimes trying to walk past him, yet getting sucked towards him slightly. And I don't think, this is something in my head, I do think he has a small gravitational pull around him that will suck you in if you walk too close to him.
Is it because of his ego or his weight?
I think it has to be a combination of both, feeling each other.
But it's
not to be a synergistic kind of compound.
Yeah, it's not in your head though. It's your entire body that starts getting sucked towards him. Like, I mean, like I think Charlie just started walking that way because Jane's getting pulled away right now. I just
she just got sucked out. Not a word.
Yeah.
She got sucked out.
Oh gosh. I mean,
I think we might need to have an intervention with Charlie, you know?
That is a podcast we need to schedule. Whenever Charlie's coming into town,
intervention.
we need to have him
for
on
Expo
here.
to work.
Yeah, I'm going to tell him he's working, and I'm just going to be like, yo, you need to stop by my house and pick me up. And then when he gets here, we're just all going to be here with microphones to our mouths, and he doesn't have a microphone. So he, like,
What's happening, guys?
Yeah.
No, he's going to do his Charlie thing where he gets upset that he's not, what's the word I'm looking for?
Skinny?
No. No, included.
Yeah, included. That's what it is. Yeah, included.
Not skinny.
Well, that'd be the whole thing, because we talked about Charlie in an episode previously and talked about his struggles with his weight. But, you know, I think it would be valuable to have him on the podcast. I don't think he should talk, though. I think he should just sit there.
And you can circle his parts of fat and point them out. This is what needs to happen here.
Yeah.
You can do this exercise. Then
like
you can
a sorority.
You can inform here, but you can also at the same time inform all of your viewers on how to lose weight because you're circling
in like a really
Charlie's
mean
fat.
way. Yeah, like in a really mean way.
Yes.
Because there's not enough of that in culture. Like it seems like we stamp that out.
I think that we kind of like got the bullying out of our systems, and now we're all anti-bullying. We need to bring it back with Charlie.
I've got an itch for. I've got an itch for it. Like you know, like I need a crying little kid to scratch my bullying itch. You know what I'm talking about? Like
R. Kelly's.
I'm not that famous yet. Maybe one day. I don't know. I got.
You really think I got potential, Doug? Like,
you really think I could pee on a kid and get away with this shit? I didn't think I was that good at singing.
Think real highly of me.
I think you'll be the R. Kelly of podcast, Austin. I really believe that.
Man, dude.
The same exact career arc.
Wow.
Same exact career arc.
So I'm just gonna get away with
You got
everything.
a solid like 20 years before you get your documentary, so.
Oh, man, dude, I'm gonna be a
Get
lifetime. Shit, this is gonna be awesome. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
Podcast king, that's what you're gonna be.
yeah, I mean, that's what.
Regrettably named, but that's only after we figure everything out.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be the point where, like, you know, podcasts, like we're gonna be calling it like, we're gonna be saying like mind mind podcasts, you know, where like you think of something for an hour in your room, and then like that gets like sent to everybody's mind, and so they hear like
This
your
is
thoughts.
after our microchip phase, right?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
way after that, and so everybody will be like, yeah, I guess he was like really relevant in his time, but like, you know, like with all those accusations, and I know he wasn't accused of it, but like still, like I feel like that hampered his career. You know what I'm saying?
Like Freud, how he was like revered for a while, and then it was found out that he was a cocaine addict, and all his findings are bullshit.
Who?
Sigmund Freud,
Is that like?
a psychologist.
Oh, so it's not like an artist.
No,
Oh, okay.
he's just a psychologist. But like that was my reference to the same thing we were talking about. Like,
Did he pee on a kid?
no, but like he was revered and then hated.
But he's the guy who came out with all that stuff about like you wanting to like sex your mom or your dad, right?
I mean,
Murk
it
your
was
dad.
Murk your dad, sex your mom.
yeah.
I need
It's like
to find a
psychological
way.
effects that aren't really real, but they're like subconscious apparently.
Yeah.
But
So if you
no one can
relate to that,
actually-
that's not normal.
no.
So wait,
okay, it's not
how did
normal,
you
but
not know
some
what
people.
an Oedipus complex was, but you just explained that?
That's
I didn't know that's what it was called.
Because of the
That's
play.
exactly what it is.
That's what he named his whole dumb idea after. It was the
No
play.
shit.
The
But like
Oedipus and
Oedipus
Electra,
didn't have an
yeah.
Oedipus complex because he deeply wanted to not fuck his mom and kill
Yeah.
his dad.
Okay.
But that's why it was tragic. That's kind of the whole
But, like,
punchline is that
women
he
want
didn't want to fuck
to-
his mom, but he did.
The whole
Yeah.
thing is
Anyway,
that
go ahead, sorry.
male youth want to fuck their mom, kill their dad, and female youth want to fuck their dad and kill their mom. But that's not an actual thing.
So
He
is
was
that
just
why
saying-
girls-
versa.
No, he was
But is
just
that
saying
why
the
girls
psychology
call-
between.
Guy's daddy?
No,
That's a
that's a whole separate daddy issue.
Really?
thing.
That's
That's a
not the
dad.
Oedipus
Explain.
complex? Because I thought he was still revered in
I mean,
psychology.
it kind of is. No, because psychologists now don't think that he's a psychological expert anymore.
Because he was on coke.
He
all
was
the
on
time.
coke at all times, so you can't none of his findings.
He
are
didn't
I
make
correct.
resent
music.
that.
I've had some amazing
I
ideas
resent
on
that.
Well,
coke.
he
Yeah.
didn't make music.
I have
he,
too.
like-
I enjoy cocaine thoroughly. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
We've got that on. We've got that
Why
on
do we have
camera.
on coke
Come
today,
in,
guys?
rush in now. Rush.
Pineapple.
What were you
Pineapple.
saying?
It's a code word
Why
for
have we
some
all done
reason.
coke?
We're saying it a whole
bunch.
bunch.
Let's do it.
Let's do
I'm
that.
down.
Always plugging
What?
shit.
Yeah, I love coke. I love acid.
Oh my gosh.
I love.
We
Weird.
have plans.
Got it. All right.
Storm the building now.
Yes. Can't monetize
It's okay,
this
I'll be great-
anymore.
I'll be great in prison. I'm back. Works out.
I was watching this show
earlier
today
ago.
about
Yeah, I'm ready when this beer's done.
I think
And that
Lucifer,
and
we're
that
gonna
and
have
that
to-
beer is a crisp Pabst Blue Ribbon.
It is indeed.
it's already open.
Oh, we did it. We did it on one of the we did it on one of the
Where I
podcasts.
wasn't there.
Yeah.
Was it Janie's idea?
No, it wasn't.
It was me
I
and
just
me and
liked it a
Legree did it
lot.
while Will was in the bathroom one time. Legree would lean into the mic and then he would go, and all you need after a hard day is a crisp Pabst Blue Ribbon. And then I had a
Yeah.
beer and I just went, ksh, and it was just.
You really got to go back to episode 2, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
Legree whispering into the mic.
I'm really
Yeah.
excited about
I know what
Jerry,
I
yeah.
already deeply miss Legree, so like
Same.
I need
It really,
to
I
watch
was
it.
just
Yeah.
thinking how much I miss Gary not being here on this
I was
podcast.
on
It was such a
Gary,
great experience.
come
We talked,
home.
we got into
Yeah.
some real shit. We got to hear his virginity story on that podcast. You know,
Oh,
his
yeah.
business.
That,
Wait,
yeah.
Hey, everybody, don't tell Meg that podcast is a thing about his virginity.
You're
Oh,
literally
yeah.
putting this
You're
online.
plugging
You
it.
just
You're
said
plugging it by
you
saying
just-
it.
Don't
Yeah, you're right,
listen
Lou.
to episode 2.
Yeah, no.
I'm
you're
sending
right. That'll
Meg
make me
this
wanna listen to it
podcast
more.
so she listens to this and then
Please
goes to
don't.
that one.
She's gonna be mad at me.
It's not like we're filming you or anything.
Yeah, we're turning it off now. Let's
Great.
really get down to the.
Yeah, no,
business
tell me
here.
what
There's
you
no
really
audio
think now.
here.
Fuck
Oh,
you
man.
guys.
Uh,
Damn it.
Damn it. Nah, it's fine. I
Yeah.
think it's good.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure
it was
she
a
already
good
knows
story.
the goddamn story.
it's also not a story
Just
where
don't
he's
like
just
it.
like just like
no
that's.
one wants to hear about their boyfriend fucking someone else for the first time. That's all.
I
it's
do.
gotta-
I was
Really?
interviewing. Yes, when I met Mitch, he never wanted to talk about it, and I was like, "Tell me everything, 'cause I will tell you everything." And I just, need to know.
I wanna hear
I just want to
anything
know what I'm
about
up
it. I was like, I
have to
want
know
to
because like when we
die.
first started like hooking up, he was kind of a slut, and so it was like
He was a slut.
yeah, he was
Tell
like
us
a slut.
about your slutty
Wait a
ass
minute,
boyfriend.
yeah,
We
wait,
don't
what-
know anything about him.
We
Break
really
it down
don't.
for
Can we
us.
go through a Mitch series right now?
Mitch,
Okay.
it's a limited series.
Let's like back
so
Yeah.
keep that
we're
in
gonna do a
mind.
super cool podcast, and I'm gonna say
It's okay.
things I shouldn't say.
But we love you already. It's fine if Jane
I
loves you.
love
We
Mitch,
love
but when
you.
and I mean he'll admit it to me. I don't know how many other people he'd admit it to, but like when we first started like sleeping together, he was like just kind of known as like a dude that liked to hook up a lot. Like he wasn't like a boyfriend cutesy boy. Like he was funny, but like he wasn't like.
But you made him into a boyfriend.
It took me 2 years, but I did it. Yeah, and I was very much like, tell me this, like poking and prying, and like if he would let something slip, I would just kind of like you know hide behind the bush and like let him talk, and just like say more right now, and then like start
Stalk
asking
and
subtle
pounce.
questions, like
Yes.
sideswipe, like,
Yes.
let me know your life, and
It's like in soccer when you side tackle someone. Yes.
but it's like I'll tell anybody about my fucking like relationship, sexual whatever, and I just wanted to know his, so I knew what I was up against mostly, and
That's fair.
yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, and I forget, but was this the reason I wrote down sicko anal lies earlier?
No, that's about my mom.
Anal doesn't lie. I don't know what you're trying
Anal
to say.
does
Okay,
not
so now-
At some point, you will have to tell the Janel story
Yeah.
on this podcast, so it will be memorialized in the
Publish
event of a
it,
nuclear
right?
holocaust.
Publish?
Should we just do it right now?
Oh my
Well,
god.
I feel like it'd be more impactful if there was somebody here who hadn't heard the story before.
I agree.
But
Yeah.
I feel like if you
Where
do
will
have
we find such a person?
That's
All right, and
also
we're gonna bring in
what-
our first guest here. 3 hours into the podcast, McClellan.
McClellan's heard it.
God,
McClellan's
we
heard
gotta
it.
fucking
TJ's
find
heard it.
Well, that's also what I wanted to bring
Gary's
up.
heard it.
Gary's
Gary
heard it?
when I told it to Megan.
Everybody's
She was
heard it.
behind the line.
Yeah.
Alright, we
and
can
he
do this.
eavesdrops.
Ready? And Janel.
Oh no.
Episode 1.
Have I told you guys that story? I got fisted in a parking lot though.
Oh, this is a great story. Here we
Oh
go.
my gosh.
Was
no.
it, how
Let's do
was
this one
it
then.
though, in all seriousness?
Well, I
Was it
think tell the
sexual?
whole
Okay.
story
Awful.
first. Tell the whole story.
No,
That's the
I wanted
punchline.
to
I want to
know.
hear the whole thing.
I wanted to know the sexual side of it.
It was not great.
We'll hear about it at the end of the story.
No, there's
We
gotta
I
yeah,
wanna
there's
hear
gotta be
the
some
whole thing.
thematic
Well,
elements
come on,
that lead
let's,
to the
you're
description.
just-
Go ahead, go
you're
ahead.
skipping
So
to the end of
I,
Infinity
like,
War here.
I had a
Just
crush
snap.
on this boy
Yeah,
in my
boys
class.
just
He was like this
think.
handsome. He was like this handsome blonde boy, and I was like, oh, I've never like gotten a handsome blonde boy. Like, sure, like I've got a crush on you. I picked you from the class to have the crush on. And one day, like it was like a small enough class where no one ever had to sit next to each other if they didn't really want to. He like sat like a seat away from me, which was still like very close, and I was like, oh, like. Little boy sitting over there. I'm just gonna open my planner and look real prepared for this class, and that's hot. And so I take my
That's
planner out of my
hot.
bag and I like put it on the table and I open it, and there's a pad in there, like a loose pad got in my planner. So I just like open it up. He's a seat away. You can tell he's like, ugh, like I slammed it shut and threw it away, and I was like, God, I ruined my
Like a
chance.
notepad?
No.
No, like a
sanitary
vagina
Like
pad.
Oh, okay.
sanitary.
Back to the IEDs.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's
Escape
like
this
an
subject.
IUD
It's a
Yeah.
full circle.
or
Got
IUD.
Yeah, so
Anyway.
there's a pad in your planner.
What wasn't in my underwear went to my face in terms of blood. And anyway,
In terms of blood.
so like
Oh
I
my
thought I was
God.
done, and then he sits next to me one day, and like we start talking, like it was like a public speaking class, and we start talking about like our speeches, and he like. I was like, I'm gonna do my speech on Shaquille O'Neal's career. I didn't end up doing that, but that was my plan. And he was like, I'm gonna do my speech on how dolphins rape people and no one knows about it. I was like, I know about it. I know exactly what you're talking about. And so I was like, instant love connection.
Yeah.
And
Because
so
You're like, I'm gonna let this guy fist
It
me.
really brings me
that was my initial feeling. No, so like we
I'm gonna let him
wait.
put all those knuckles
Do
inside
I
me.
know this blonde boy by any chance?
No, we're not saying names.
Okay,
I'll
of-
tell you after.
Yeah,
After
like,
you're
we
done.
gotta,
Sorry, I'm
we gotta have
sorry.
some
I
discretion.
know the rules.
He did go
sorry.
to Londo, but
You
he
just-
took a grade behind me.
You threw Gary under the bus. I would rather us not
I said
mention.
Gary.
Okay.
I said Gary.
Yeah, no. We'll move
That's
on.
literally
Anyway.
no
We'll move on.
circumstance
Alright,
actual
so-
So
name.
like
back
he
to the
asked me
story.
to hang out, and I'm a dumb bitch, so I was like, yeah, let's just hang out, and I thought it was like platonic, like friendly hangout, and like, he took me to get ice cream at Beard Cats, and that was fun. And he taught me how to drive his stick shift, not a euphemism. Like, I actually did, and it was terrifying. And then he showed me this weird, creepy little shack on Sullivan's that's got like graffiti all over it, and it's really dark.
The one on the hill.
Yeah, and I was like, I know I've been here before, but I still don't like it. And he was like, oh, okay, you've been here before. And he took me home, and it wasn't like a date. He didn't like hold my hand or kiss me or
Like,
whatever.
take her to the creepy shack.
Yeah, it's kind of hot, but.
It's pretty hot.
And then one day he took me on like 2 dates in one. And the first date was just lunch. We were just hanging out talking about horoscopes. And at that point he was like, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, oh, nothing. Like, hanging out with Katie, my mom. Like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm having dinner with my family, but do you want to see a movie after? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And playing a real cool. And he hugged me, and I was like, oh my god, cute boy. I'm like, oh my god. And then like we go see like a 10:30 movie. It was a movie of my choice, which he did not like. I will not say the movie. And
Okay, you gotta say the movie though.
What? We're not gonna
We're
put
not-
the movie on blast? You're calling this fucking movie out?
I
Did you
literally
hear
can't
what
say
the
the
Pineapple
movie.
Podcast said?
Come on. Okay, we're not saying names, but I want to hear
I
the movie.
can't.
What are
It's
you
too much
worried
detail.
it's
What
gonna
is it?
like date when this happens?
Yes.
Is that what you're worried
Yes,
about?
It was.
Okay.
What was it?
Fuck,
I
man.
won't say it out loud.
Okay, I didn't think about that.
That sucks.
Oh, okay.
Oh, what the fuck? You're just gonna whisper it for us?
You'll
when it's
find
on
out
the
later.
podcast?
I'll tell you later.
Wait,
Alright,
okay,
that's
okay.
fair.
Can we write it down just so
Yes.
we know and then
Yeah.
everybody else doesn't
And then
know?
don't say it.
I'm not gonna
okay?
say it. I'm just gonna, while she's writing it down, I just want to let everybody know this podcast is sponsored by Pabst Blue Ribbon, a crisp, refreshing taste that all can enjoy, not just the white trash of America.
He can't read it.
Okay, let me see this.
I wasn't expecting to read that.
Oh, okay. I gotta read it though.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's what I'm saying. I had trouble
That's
discerning
what
it
he
because
said, but
I was
that's
so
what I wanted to
surprised.
see.
I'm gonna.
It's
Those
fine.
movies are great.
I want to make that the description of this podcast so bad.
Anyway, so like we got in the movie, we watched the whole movie without like holding hands or kissing or anything, and I'm into it. Like, it's really funny, and he's just like, I don't get this, and I'm like, shut up. And like, no.
Oh, I didn't get that movie. I don't.
I
Sorry.
hated that he didn't like the movie, and then the movie ends, and it's like midnight by the time the movie ends because we saw it at 10:30, and we're sitting in the back movie theater, and like he's leaning towards me in that way, you know, and you're like, I'm about to get kissed, like, okay, and it was just like awkward talking up until he kissed me, and when he kissed me, he has like very non-voluptuous lips, like very like skinny bitch, like flat lips. And
Swear to you know this guy's white, so you already dated yourself
it
there.
was almost like if you like good dick, and then tried to kiss somebody like that, like grandma kiss. And so it was just very flat, and I was not into it. And I was like, okay, like whatever, like I'm on this date with this guy, like I'll just let him kiss me. And like he like kind of hovers over my boob, and he's like, is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I did not wear no bra so that you wouldn't touch my boob. Like, like it's right there. So he's like, okay, just want to ask. And then he's like touching my boob, and I'm like, okay, so it's like midnight. The boys are trying to clean the movie theater. I'm gonna like, we can keep making out, but like let's leave. So I like to park at the 4th level of the parking garage because it's the roof and like you can see out into the sky and everything. It's cute. And we're like leaning over the edge talking for a little bit. And at some point he was like, huh, you're such a nerd. And I was like, all right. And then he starts kissing me again. I'm like, oh, that was a panty dropper right there. Like, that's a sweet move. Like,
Such a
cool
nerd.
line. And he's making out with me. He's touching my boob because I gave him permission. He did not feel the need though to
Consent.
ask. Yeah, give him consent.
Boom.
Although, when you're asking for consent, I feel like if you feel the need to ask there, you should ask at different points in the game. Which he did not feel the need to ask permission to flip my dress up over my butt and like grab my ass. Did that. I was like, alright, like, weird place to stop asking questions, but I mean, you did it, it's done, like, I don't care, so whatever. And he was like, do you want to sit in your car? Because it's right there, and there's no other cars. And I was like, yeah, I want to sit the fuck down. I hate standing, like...
You just
Yeah.
exposed
Knees are
my
weak.
ass.
Wait,
to
hold on,
everybody.
pause. Okay, I think I got lost in this story for a little bit. First of all, I want to shout out this guy for, you know, because this is a feminism podcast, and he asked for consent, so I like that. Shout out. I'm going to give him a like and subscribe. My second question is, you were standing outside the movie theater. Was this in,
we were on the roof of the parking garage.
You're on the roof of the parking garage.
Like the 4th level.
Just out.
Like looking over the ledge. Have you ever been to the
No,
Regal, like...
Yeah. Okay.
So most of existence was above you.
Correct.
Yeah.
No.
Like the sky.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
a sky above me.
Okay.
Yeah, there's stuff that exists up
People
there.
are walking
Oh,
down
it's
below.
not.
What he
It's
meant by
not
that.
just a
So yeah.
plane.
And he just was just like,
Oh yeah, like
Let's
anybody could have
fucking
walked by and he
Yeah,
they
that's-
would have saw my
okay, cool.
underwear.
Yeah.
I thought this was in the. I thought we were already in the car.
No, we weren't in
No.
the car.
Okay.
I was like,
And
that's
by
why I
we,
was like,
I
this is a
mean-
weird place to stop asking for like
Yeah,
PDA consent. I don't
yeah.
know.
And by we, I just mean like me, Lucy, and Will have floating heads. Like in this
Sure,
instance,
sure,
like I'm
sure.
imagining like a.
We're actually
yeah.
projecting to this
To the
scene
Yeah.
in your past.
Yeah, like we're watching like
That's
a
what's happening
cartoon
now.
of like this
Yeah.
weird
Cartoon.
Like if
sex
I drew it,
thing.
For the
Yeah.
love of fucking
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this weird hentai video that we're all in right now. Just like
Yeah.
I'm hoping there's no tentacles though, because I'm not
Well,
into that type of hentai.
I was
fucking
trying
wish,
to get
because
into
what happened
anime
was
for
so
a
much
little
worse.
bit.
Wait, but what happened?
Yeah, okay,
So,
let's keep
okay,
going.
so-
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Where's
So we go over to my car.
Yeah.
So we go over to my car because we're
Ooh.
planning to sit down. I'm a messy person. I've got a lot of stuff in like the backseat of my car. So I start like putting stuff in the back. Like I start putting it into where like the trunk is. He goes around the other side of my car. Also starts throwing my shit in the back. Like he doesn't like, care. He's not like, is this okay to throw? Like he's just throwing my shit. And I'm like, if all my stuff wasn't garbage already, I would be furious. Like those are my possessions. If it wasn't
garbage.
crap, like I'd be so mad.
Yeah.
But it's crap. So I shrug it off. And I get in, and instead of meeting me in the middle, he closes the door, walks around my door, and is like, you sure you want to do this? Like, on the door. And I was like, yeah, get in the car. And he was like, you sure? And I was like, get in my fucking car. Like I said, get in my fucking car. And he's like, all right, you don't have to tell me twice. And I was like, yes, I did. I did.
Obviously
I
I
told you
did.
2 times.
Yeah.
I said, get in my car twice.
So we're back to consent. So he jumped.
He skipped a stone of stepping, I suppose,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
So we're back to
And then
asking.
curveball
Bit-
back.
It sounds like a really ambiguous kind of like consent asking too.
yeah.
Like just being
Do
like,
this, like
dude,
what is this?
yeah, like what the
concern?
fuck you
Like,
talking about, dog? You just
I
standing
was
out
just
there
like,
looking
I thought we were
an
gonna
idiot.
make
Like,
out,
what
and
is-
so-
what's going on here?
He gets in my car, and the lights aren't even off after the door shuts before his shirt is like off, and my dress is up to my neck. And again, I didn't wear a bra. Like I'm just boobs and underwear, like a weird cape. And so
Like
he's
a
like,
weird cape.
so he's like
Oh,
making out with me.
like
and
a-
he's
What the fuck?
he's like a lot hairier in the chest than I expected him to be, and so it's also like
Was it even?
No, I don't know. Didn't feel good.
No. I mean, like, as in, like, was like one side more hairier
It
than
was
the
all
other?
centered, so
Oh, okay.
the most even you could.
Yeah,
be,
write
I
that down.
suppose.
Yeah,
Right now.
centered chest hair.
And he was sweaty, so it's like his chest hairs were wet, and that was gross. And
You guys had just watched a movie. Why was he sweaty?
because like we were making
was
out in
touching
my
boobs
car,
and
there was
shit.
no AC, like it was sweaty.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like
He's a teenage
immediately
boy.
into the car. He pulls his shirt off. He was like, "I was watching
Like,
a
he-
movie.
he-
That movie was
he
intense."
quickly got.
Which, if you knew the movie we were talking about,
It makes
which,
sense.
which
I
Makes
just,
we
sense.
may
I just-
find out later, but
I just don't want. And anyway,
It
yeah.
doesn't tell when you watch the movie.
Let's
Anyway.
continue. I want to hear this.
So like,
We're almost to the end. I hope. I don't know.
yeah, we are, but
Anyway,
we'll
go ahead.
assume.
Sorry.
Yeah, so like we're making out. I'm not into it, but I'm like, all right, this is gonna happen for probably 45 minutes or whatever, and I'm gonna go home. Like,
that is
That's the most depressing fucking thing I've heard all day.
That's so serious, though.
like
God
I'm-
damn
I was
it.
like, I know I'm not gonna fuck this guy. Like I shaved for nothing, so it's just gonna be 45 minutes of making out and like no reward, but I can get through it. Like I have a class with him.
It happens.
He likes me. Like,
God damn it.
it's gonna happen. And then he's like kissing me like towards my underwear, and I think he's about to try and go down on me, and I'm like, no. Like I hike him up, and I'm like, I don't really want to do that because I don't want to have to suck his weird like hairy dick probably. Like he's really sweaty, and I don't want to, I don't want to have to reciprocate. I feel like he's a weird kisser. I don't want it. And he's like, oh, you don't want to go that far? And I was like, no, like. No, I don't want to go that far.
Coy as fuck.
And
God.
yeah, like super kawaii me, yeah. And he like goes back to kissing me and then takes off my underwear anyway. Again, like weird pattern of ask, don't ask, don't ask. Like what a I told you no. Like
I think it's to confuse you.
I think so because I was bamboozled. He takes
I mean,
off
it
my
doesn't-
underwear. And I
it
was
doesn't
like,
seem very confusing. I mean, obviously, there's going to be one step after. At this point, like he's going to ask next, and then something crazy's gonna happen. He's kind of like a wild card.
He's a wild card.
The
Yeah.
sweaty-chested wild card. I'm getting turned on just hearing this story.
man.
I'm gonna have to ask you guys to leave after this.
But so like he takes off my underwear and we're still just making out and I'm like, that sucks, like that's a bummer, but whatever. Like he still has his jeans and his belt on. I'm like, alright, I'm not like super intimidated or whatever. And he like starts to touch me, you know, like I don't like the word that you used for it, but he fingered me. And as soon as he had one finger in, I would say he maintained one finger for about 10 seconds and then went to 3 and then went to 4. And then he maintained 4 for like a really long time. And he had his head in my stomach. Like he is just like punching me in the back seat of my car.
Jesus.
Like way too hard. He's grunting. I'm like not saying anything. And I'm just like holding back like, and like finally a tear slips out of my eye. Probably like 6 minutes into it. I don't know. And
6 minutes?
It's like
Holy.
a long
I
rush
would've punched
drum
him in the
solo.
face,
This is
but
crazy.
And
Woman.
I was like, I was like so graceful about it. I was so nice. I was like,
so
like
bruised.
I whispered
So
out, like I was like,
bruised.
and I kind of pushed him gently, and he was like he finished, like he was done fisting me or whatever, and he's like laying next to me on the
Did
back.
you come?
Good
That's what he asked you.
God.
You don't get the 4-finger blast and walk
Yeah,
home unsatisfied.
right. Was that as good for you as it was for me?
So here's the thing.
I don't
That
think
was,
you
like, his
walk
attitude.
home. I think you waddle home after something like that.
But like for the rest of your life. No, but then like he's like kissing me and he's like, oh, you know, like you're the most amazing woman I've ever met. Now like, you should meet more women and like I'm a piece of shit. Like you should meet more ladies. And
It's actually kind
I'm
of
a
sad,
piece
man.
of
he was,
shit.
and then and he's like, oh, you know, like he said first time, and I was like, what? No, it was not my first time at all. Like that attitude, those words, and he's like, oh no, it was my first time, and I was like,
That explains a lot.
Like, you're-
Wait, okay, so he didn't say. Okay, for verbatim. Like, sorry, I'm getting like I'm in this like hentai cartoon right now where I'm like floating
Wait,
above.
This whole
and-
cartoon.
No, and I'm getting lost in the fact that I'm a floating head and I'm looking around the scenery. But my thing is like, he just literally said, out of the blue, there was no context to this. He said, no, it's my first time too.
no, not 2. Like he said first time, and I thought it was a question. Like, oh baby, was it your first time? And I said, no, it wasn't my fucking first time.
Oh,
he
so
was like,
he asked you.
he didn't ask me. He was
Oh.
saying
Say that
it was his first time, and I was like,
Yeesh.
oh, like I insulted him. I was like, it's not my fucking first time, and
Oh, that's even worse than what I thought it was.
so much worse. And then like he said, I was the most amazing woman you ever met. That's because he's met no women. Like that's exactly why.
I mean, either way, James.
I mean,
it's okay.
Thanks.
I'm just trying to figure out where.
That was great. That was great storytelling
I'm
as
not.
usual, Jane.
I'm
That was,
almost
you know.
done.
Oh,
shit.
okay,
I'm
yo.
This
sorry.
is just like
Watching the porn that you like, the anime.
Oh, okay. So he's watching. There's not a lot of fisting in hentai.
Anyway,
like,
let's let
I
Jane
wish
finish.
I had a sweet tentacle instead of like some sweaty hairy boy.
Well, when you get to the hardcore stuff, there's tentacles, but it's a lot of like preposterously big boobs, very ridiculous scenarios where it's a nerdy young male who gets into this situation where like these girls like have to have like these preposterously big booed women.
Did you ever see School Days?
School Days?
Yeah.
What is that?
It was this anime. It was like a harem anime where there's this young man and he has this crush on a girl, and then he's got like this girl best friend, and the girl best friend like basically is like, oh, I'll like have sex with you so you can learn, and then he has sex with his girlfriend, the girl he has a crush on, and she's like a nice sweet girl, but he's shitty to her now that he's had sex, and he's like fucking his best friend still, and he fucks all these other girls and treats them like shit. He knocks up the first girl, like the girl he had a crush on, and then he rejects her, and so she like kills him and kills the girl
The fuck?
that he had, like his best friend or whatever.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
no, I haven't seen that.
So is this like
It's-
primarily a porn thing, or is this like?
Mostly porn, mostly fan service porn, and it ends in like the dumbest way. It's just dumb.
That's
Yeah, man.
crazy. I've never seen a porn, anthology.
It's not like porn. It's more
I know,
like
But like, in what context do you watch it? Do you watch it as porn, or do you
you
watch
watch it
as
to get
TV?
like a semi.
Okay, so because there's some
What
TV.
kind of nonsense is that?
That's
I know.
interesting. I don't know.
It's
But wait, we have not reached the conclusion of your story
yeah.
yet.
So like I take him back to his car, which is on the first level, and he was like, I had a great time. I was like, same here. And we only had a few more classes. It was like the end of the semester or whatever, and I skipped one of my days after that, and he was like sending me memes. Like we used to send memes to each other, and then he sent me memes like when your best friend doesn't show up for class, and it was just like Patrick or like like it was some bullshit.
Yeah.
And I just stopped. I stopped talking to him. Like I just completely blew him off. I completely ghosted him after he confessed, his virginity and his.
Which
like
you
for
never
me.
like actually.
I didn't take it.
Yeah. No.
I didn't want it. I told
Well,
my mom the entire
yeah.
story when I got home from the date. Me and my mom are tight, and I told her the
Come
entire
on,
story,
Nike.
and she was like, "You gotta like teach him," and I was like, "I don't."
That is
Wait,
not
wait,
your
That's
responsibility.
not
Your
No.
mom is
That
groovy
was
as
the
fuck
several
though. I love it.
classes that he was supposed to take
She's
and his
like-
parents.
She
She's
was
like, hey,
"Oh, he's like a
she's-
sweet little virgin. You gotta show him what's what." And I was like,
No.
"I have no time. Like, I'm too busy. I don't have the
Just
patience."
take
take
like
your
a
man's
charity
virginity
case, my
and
14-year-old
I've
daughter.
already taken 2. I don't really need like a
Yeah.
3-time championship ring. Like,
Damn.
I'm good. Like,
Jane
I
humble
did it.
bragging as fuck over here. Just
She's obviously
I'm
not a
retiring with 2
patriot.
rings.
Tom
like,
Brady
I don't want
ass.
to.
No,
I never
Well,
want
not
to take
Tom
another
Brady
virginity.
does
As-
not go back for the repeat.
Like, as long as I live, I never
It
want
does
another
not.
virginity in my life because, like, the 2 that I took were terrible, and I don't. One of them was mine. Like, one of them was when I was losing mine to somebody else, and that was bad.
See, that's strange because I can't imagine somebody who's never done something being poor at it.
I don't want to do it again.
What?
I don't care. I don't want to experience it ever again.
I'm sorry.
After my first time, like separate story,
Alright.
like I thought it was
We know
decent, like for a
this year?
first time, but it wasn't great.
No.
You've been
And,
drinking a
uh,
beer now.
I know.
I was like,
know.
"So
Why
what'd you
are
think? Like, did you have a good time?" And he was like,
Shit.
"Yeah, I mean, I had a good
You
time.
back
It
in
wasn't like
the
as
dog
tight as I thought it was gonna be." And
Wow.
I cried. Like his dad picked him up, and then I cried. Like that was at my house. Then he said that to me.
Wow. Good grief. Well, I'm just
Good
gonna
grief.
show some pictures of this school days anime
That is exactly
so we can
That is it.
really just
Is this
get
what
the
happened to
picture
you,
of it.
Jane?
Huh?
Is this what happened to you? Is that what he means by this is it?
No.
No, he's saying this is.
We
it,
were
as
talking
in
about this
is
while you were in the
the-
bathroom, and
this
I was
is
like
the
waiting to.
porno.
Oh, okay. This is just the hentai
It's like
bullshit
a.
with
It's,
tentacles.
it's not like
No,
quite
there's no
hentai.
tentacles.
It's just like a really
It's
like.
pretty softcore. Pretty softcore.
It's pretty softcore.
Softcore anime sex.
Yeah. There's some,
Like it's not
Wow.
appropriate for
that's,
kids.
That's
but
some nudity.
Definitely hentai.
Some making out.
it was based on one of those like those harem video games where like you have to like give the girl a gift or whatever to make her like you, and the girl that likes you the most, like you get to marry.
And then pin her down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right there? Yeah. And then she pins you down. Oh shit.
I do think a lot with like anime and like this kind of like fucking porn especially. It does seem to kind of like objectify women in a way, and like it seemed to be fixated on like paralyzing them or disabling them or making them like you or something. You know what I
read
mean?
this
Like,
I read this
it
whole
is
article that was
weird.
like saying like there's a lot of like mostly porn, but those anime in general like that literally turns women into like some kind of object or animal-esque humanoid kind of thing. Like they're
Yeah.
not fully human, so you feel fine taking ownership of them because what else would they do without you, little boy?
Yeah.
And then there was this one that was mentioned in the article where the girl is literally like a conscious doorknob, and when her owner comes to use his key, it's like fucking her. But he doesn't know that she's a living girl doorknob. It's just like showing you, and then like a robber tries to break in and like rapes the doorknob,
Oh shit.
and then she feels guilty for like, or no, like robber doesn't get in, he tries to break in, and she's like, oh, I served my master well, blah blah blah, and then he changes the lock anyway.
None of the above.
Wait, so it's like getting a new girl, or be like repaired
new
her?
girl, I
New
think.
girl. New girl. Okay.
Yeah.
Never seen that one. Be honest.
That's like not cool to do. Women aren't doorknobs.
Yeah.
Hashtag
agree.
feminism.
Like-
Hashtag women aren't doorknobs.
That should be the title of this podcast.
There's a
Women are
certain
not
point,
doorknobs.
I don't
Because
know.
obviously, like all.
I think I've
porn-
already got a really good name for the
No,
podcast
no.
in my notes
Yeah.
here
No.
that we wrote down earlier that I kind of gave a wink to the audience. Shane Nibbles and Justin Garrett.
God, they're the best.
They're the best.
Such huge dicks.
And,
Such loyal followers.
and I want to give a shout out to Lucky Parnell. Lucky Parnell, who donated 1 rubber band to my Patreon account.
To be
Wow.
found later.
You popped one band.
I
Yeah.
popped one
So
band.
shout out to
Lucky.
you.
That's great.
4 more of those, and you'll get. I can't find that in my notes, but I know that if you send me
something.
14 more of those, you'll get a set of Lincoln Logs.
Not just 4. 14.
Well, 14
It's
more.
original
And actually, I
okay.
correct myself. It's not a set. You get 1 Lincoln Log.
From the set.
Yeah.
I
From,
get one from.
yeah, from the set, because the set is
Okay.
actually all built from Lincoln Logs.
This is
Yeah, so you'll get an original Pineapple Podcast Lincoln Log. Yeah, and I mean, that's about all I can say. I would like to say that our entertainment group is also in the process of producing the hentai that will describe that story that we were just talking about, that will have our astral plane faces on it.
Jane did sign away those rights already, so Jane, you really cannot discuss whether or not we
Yeah, she signed my
this thing.
notes.
So it's
No,
it's
you're
you already signed the waiver.
apparently.
But, so,
Because as all
Can I play
hentai.
me?
So yeah, of course. Oh, of course. Yeah.
well, it's a,
Can't,
you'll voice act, it's a hentai, so.
Can I play me?
Yeah,
Can I
you will
play
be the only
Is that the
live
only-
character. It's,
No, you
like
should
a
do-
cartoon version of me, but I like your idea better.
yeah, it's all cartoon around you.
Like walking in on Blue's Clues, like.
But you should also be doing the voices of the other characters. So like
Yeah, a one Jane show. That's what I want to see.
everything is Jane.
I would pay money.
Well, that's
Would.
cool.
I would subscribe to your Patreon. I would give you 5
Yeah.
bands to do that. Awesome.
I'd give you 5 bibs.
We're gonna need 3, alright?
3.
Three whole
Yeah.
bands?
Yeah.
That's all?
Wait, 3 rubber bands? That's a little too much.
Three
Any
bands?
closing comments from anybody?
Oh,
I
it's
don't
been a
know.
really great
Hail
podcast.
Satan.
Great, Grace did the time to hang out with you
Sorry,
guys.
guys.
Hail
Wow.
Satan.
Yeah, say inhale the pineapple.
Hail Pineapple.
We never saw that ostrich.
Yeah, the ostrich did not dig his head in the sand. That's a little
No, I
disappointing.
played that video.
No,
He just didn't
look
fly.
up
I played that
I
video.
don't think
He
you're gonna
didn't.
get the
Look up
satisfaction. You're never gonna get
ostrich.
him to say
You know what?
ostriches.
What is-
All right. Well, to all the listeners out there, I'm gonna play us out with a new track that was posted 35 minutes ago, called Soccer. Or it's by the artist Soccer Mommy. It is called Blossom, and we're gonna play us out with that. Thank y'all for listening.